Okay, we're going to do the Mangalachan Puspanjali. So collect some flower and let's begin. First, we invoke the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Guru Parampara, and Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat Nasta Prayasu Abhadresu Nittam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki Sankarati Vachalam Pangulangayati Girim Jatkripatamaham Vande
Shri Guru
Chaitanya Ishwaram Paramananda Madhavam. So please collect some flower and let's have a wonderful Puspanjali. Om Gyana Mirandasa Gyananjana Salakayam Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Shri Guru Namah Chaitanya Manovistam Sapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Mayam Dadati Padantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Pada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanikam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Nitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschatadeshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tinamine Srivarsvanavi Devi Daitaya Kripadaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnanam Ayine Prabhave Namah Adhurja Ujjala Premadha Sri Rupanuga Bhaktidam Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastute Namaste Gauravani Sri Murte Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dhanta Harine Nama Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Ambode Padambojayate Namah Nama Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestam Nidesha Sajjana Priyo Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Jagannathayate Namah Ansha Kalpataru Vesham Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I'd like to welcome all of you. Thank you for participating in our last chapter for this session. Chapter 12 is Mother Palakapavini Devi Dasi is here. Cannot see her name.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mother, you have some devotees who is going to read?
No, Prabhu. I didn't take any least.
Okay. I need 7 devotees to read the 7 slokas. We'll begin in 1 minute. You please tell, in the chat, you send it to Mother Palika Pavani Devidasi if you are interested to read. So this is a beautiful chapter, Bhakti Yoga, pure devotional service to Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Is the highest and most expedient means for attaining pure love for Krishna, which is the highest end of spiritual existence. Those who follow this supreme path develop divine qualities.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, from
Yes,
which verse are we starting? Because I end up early on Saturday, so I don't know from which verse we are starting.
We are going to start from text 1, Mother.
Okay.
12th chapter.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. So just to give you refresh, everybody ready? You are here for Bhagavad Gita. Forget about your house. Forget the whole world. You are here at present. Text 1 to 7. We are focusing right now. We are beginning. Worship of personal form is superior to impersonal Brahman. Very important to remember. Worshipping or worship of personal form is superior to impersonal Brahman. So here Arjuna is asking question. This is an interesting question. Both are on transcendental path. Who is best among this category? You may think like, oh, this already discussed. Why Arjuna is not sharp, intelligent? Why is asking again this question? No, he is very sharp, much sharper than anybody exists in this world. But he is completely want to remove our doubts in our head. That even in your devotional path, how much you meditate on the deity, how much you meditate, focus on the form of the Lord. Even chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. How much you are thinking of the form of the Lord? You're thinking only sound vibration. Is that sound vibration is the Lord has a form or is impersonal concept? Arjuna wants to remove complete doubt. So very kindly he is asking the same question repeated. 3 and 4 text also clearly talks about second alternative and establishing what is established in verse 2. Let's see if we can catch it. And 6 and 7 makes it more clear what is Krishna's preference in this case. Everybody ready? And then we'll go to 8 to 12. So we'll begin with text 1. Mother Palika Pavani Devi Dasi.
Yes,
Anybody here?
Satya Devata Prabhu will be starting 12.1 verse.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. 12.1. 1 second. Sorry, paper just slipped. एवं सतत युक्ते भक्त्यास्त्यं पर्युपासते ये चापि अक्षरम अव्यक्तं तेषं ले योगवित्तमः. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Purport. Krishna has now explained about the personal, the impersonal, and the universal, and has described all kinds of devotees and yogis. Generally, the transcendentalists can be divided into two classes. One is the impersonalist, and the other is the personalist. The personalist devotee engages himself with all energy in the service of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist also engages himself not directly in the service of the Krishna, but in meditation on the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. We find in this chapter that of the different processes for realization of the absolute truth, Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, is the highest. If one at all desires to have the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he must take to devotional service. Those who worship the Supreme Lord directly by devotional service are called personalists. Those who engage themselves in meditation on the impersonal Brahman are called impersonalists. Arjuna is here questioning which position is better. There are different ways to realize the absolute truth. Krishna indicates in this chapter that Bhakti Yoga, or devotional service to him, is the highest of all. It is the most direct and it is the easiest means for association with the Godhead. In the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord explains that a living entity is not the material body, he is a spiritual spark. And the absolute truth is the spiritual whole. In the seventh chapter, he spoke of the living entity as being part and parcel of Supreme Whole and recommended that he transfer his attention fully onto the whole. And again, in the eighth chapter, it was said that anyone who thinks of Krishna at the time of quitting his body is at once transferred to the spiritual sky, to the abode of Krishna. And at the end of the sixth chapter, the Lord clearly said that all of yogis, one who always thinks of Krishna within himself, is considered the most perfect. So in practically every chapter, the conclusion has been that one should be attached to the personal form of Krishna, for that is the highest spiritual realization. Nevertheless, there are those who are not attached to the personal form of Krishna. They are so firmly detached that even in the preparation of commentaries to Bhagavad Gita, they want to distract other people from Krishna and transfer all devotion to the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. They prefer to meditate on the impersonal form of the absolute truth, which is beyond the reach of the senses and is not manifest. And so, factually, there are two classes of transcendentalists. Now, Arjuna is trying to settle the question of which process is easier and which of the classes is most perfect. In other words, he is clarifying his own position because he is attached to the personal form of Krishna. He is not attached to the impersonal Brahman. He wants to know whether his position is secure. The impersonal manifestation, either in this material world or in the spiritual world of the Supreme Lord, is a problem for meditation. Actually, one cannot perfectly conceive of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Therefore, Arjuna wants to say, what is the use of such a waste of time? Arjuna experienced in the 11th chapter that to be attached to the personal form of Krishna is best because he could thus understand all other forms at the same time and there was no disturbance to his love for Krishna. This important question asked of Krishna by Arjuna will clarify the distinction between the impersonal and personal conceptions of the absolute truth. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Very interesting. This is an interesting question, isn't it? Both on the transcendental path. Who is the best among this category? If we look at the words, bhaktas tam parjupasate. I'm looking at it. So it is clearly referring to devotional path, devotional conception. Tvam is you. Can you imagine somebody is asking you, should I fall in love with you as a person or your impersonal concept? It's very unique. Evam satata jukta je. So first part is clearly referring to bhaktas. As satata, the way Arjuna asked, satata jukta is mentioned and bhaktas tam purjapasate. Very sweet. Okay, next two.
Hare Krishna. Sri Bhagavana Uvacha Maya Vesya Manoye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya pariyopeta steme yukta tamamataha. And the translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charna Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to the most perfect, to be the most perfect. And the purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charna Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly said that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worship him with faith and devotion to be considered most perfect in yoga. For one in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears and reads books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam, or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or sometimes he washes the temple or dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devotion. His activities to Krishna, such action is in full samadhi. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Srila Prabhupada's purport is so wonderful. So here is very interesting. The previous verse says, Bhaktas tam parjupashate, and Krishna is answering in this sloka. See how Krishna used the word, Nitta Jukta Upasate. So Krishna replied, is establishing worshipping personal aspect very explicitly. So Krishna replies in such a way which removes all ambiguities without any interpretation. No need interpretation. Shraddhaya purjapasate, their faith is transcendental. Chinmay. Mayavadi has an idea. They have to fix mind on a form. How long? Eternally or temporary? Temporary. Till they become transcendental. After that, they can leave the form. Do you have some idea like this? All of you, can you examine that you're going to worship the deity for how long? Until death. After death, I don't need. After leave this body, deity worship is no more there. If you have that, Mayavad conception is still lingering in the consciousness. Be very careful. The holy name, deity and Krishna, all are in one platform, absolute platform. In spiritual abode, there is a two manifestation of Krishna. One is his Sarasiki Lila, one is Mantra Upasana May Lila. Sarasiki Lila like Astakaliya Lila, 8 folds times 3. Krishna is busy playing with the coward boys, girls, cows, with Mother Jashoda. He's always busy. Whole night dancing with the girls. Whole day they're playing with the boys. Same time, there is a deity form in Golok Vrindavan. Where is the proof? Brahma Samhita. Alola chanda kalasada banamalla bangsi ratnangadang pranayake likala vilasam semang tribanga lalitam. What's the next word? Niyata. Niyata prakasham means that form of the Lord is also there, Murti form in Golok Vrindavan. So when your Guru gives you initiation, your mantra is Guru. The presence of Guru in the mantra, when Guru gives the mantra. And this mantra Guru will ignite to the mantra Upasana Lila, connect with the deity. Then the deity to Saraswati will be a bridge. That you cross the bridge by worshipping deity. Do not take the deity worship is temporary. Everything you do with the deity, you bow down, you cook for, as Prabhupada explained very nicely. These are all eternal. Did you bow down to the deity today? It's eternal. It's not bound by your death. Did you honor prasadam today? It's eternal. Two things Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took from Madhacharya. Ek hai keval advaita nirasan, Krishna murti nitya jani tahara sevan. Ek hai keval advaita nirasan. He completely removed this impersonal conception by his 100 stotra. And second point, he says, anything anybody does for the deity is eternal. If you never want to see Jamadutas, do something for the deity immediately. Holy name. These are all eternal. One may say that there is no word like Rupa is used which talks about personal form. But Krishna has used the word Mam, Mai. More personal. There is no impersonal. Light is speaking. Do you think like Krishna is a light speaking to Arjuna, or is a person speaking to Arjuna? There's one big group in India, I don't mention the name, you all know. They think the goal is become light, enter into light. I confronted this Mataji, she's the head of this one group from Jacksonville, Florida. I said, becoming light. Why do you care for your daughter and son? What do you mean? I said, do you care if they are sick, they are not feeling well? Yes, I do. Why? I said, if your goal to become light, why don't you practice now? Why you want to nourish your emotional feeling, heart feeling? Why? If your ultimate goal is to become light. This is bogus conception of becoming light, one with God light. And millions of people follows this understanding, but they do not think or read Bhagavad Gita properly. So text 3 and 4 together. Who is reading next?
Hare Krishna. Ye tvaksharam anirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintayam cha kutastham chalam dhruvam sanniyamyendriyagramam sarvatra samabuddhaya te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite ratha. Translation. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. Purport. Those who do not directly worship the Supreme Godhead Krishna, but who attempt to achieve the same goal by an indirect process, also ultimately achieve the same goal, Sri Krishna. After many births, the man of wisdom seeks refuge in me, knowing that Vasudev is all. When a person comes to full knowledge after many births, he surrenders unto Lord Krishna. If one approaches the Godhead by the method mentioned in this verse, he has to control the senses, render service to everyone, and engage in the welfare of all beings. It is inferred that one has to approach Lord Krishna, otherwise, there is no perfect realization. Often, there is much penance involved before one fully surrenders unto him. In order to perceive the super soul within the individual soul, one has to cease the sensual activities of seeing, hearing, tasting, working, etc. Then one comes to understand that the Supreme Soul is present everywhere. Realizing this, one envies no living entity. He sees no difference between man and animal because he sees soul only, not the outer covering. But for the common man, this method of impersonal realization is very difficult.
Lord Sri Krishna is so sweet, so loving. Verse 3 and 4 we just read clearly talks about second alternative. Krishna is giving another alternative. And what is establishing? What is established in second? So the second verse, by giving an alternative, re-establishing Krishna so nicely. Now let's break down and see how it is. Krishna has used the same word what Arjuna has used in his question. Do you see that? Aksharam, abhyaktam, to describe. And Krishna is using the same word. So in the verse 3, he has talked about non-manifested aspect. Then mentioned how that has to be worshipped in verse 4. Sanni Jamen Indriya Gramam. Now you may get a question, end of tomorrow's class. Explain the process of impersonal realization. Be prepared. There are a few things to remember. In this verse, it very clearly says, first, Krishna says, Niyama Indriya, one has to have a strict rules and regulation. This is one. You ever wonder what the sadhana impersonalist does? They do, number one, Niyama Indriya. Indriya means one has to be strict rules and regulation. Second, Indriya Gramam. They have to control their senses, all senses. Then third, Sarvatra Sama Buddhaya. One tries to have equal vision towards everything. Then, number four, the four sadhana they do. You can see this verse because you will get the question, close book question, and this is one of the main important. Number four is Te prapnovanti mam eva. They will also obtain me. How? When? Sarva bhuta hite rata. So in these words, Krishna does not speak anything negative about these people. Do you notice that Krishna is not criticizing impersonalist? No negative. But Krishna is stating that what those impersonalists do, they will also obtain me, Krishna is saying. But in the next verse, he will say, it is not easy. Bhakti is easier, an ultimate beneficiary. So Arjuna's question was, who is most united? And Krishna said, those who fix his mind on me are most united. And others, they will also come to me, but there is complex process that they have to follow. The process is basically centered on equanimity, on equal vision towards everything. So let's discuss little more about this. This is very important. Baladev Vidabhushan Thakur, I'm paraphrasing what I read. The Lord's statement, Krishna's statement, the worshipper of impersonal Brahman certainly also reach me, must not be misconstructed to mean that impersonalists, Mayavadis, are on the equal footing with the devotees. Let me ask a question to all of you. You don't have to answer right now, maybe after 10 minutes or something. Shankaracharya, yesterday was Shivaratri in America. We celebrate in the weekend. Shivaratri was Thursday, but we celebrate always festivals in the weekend because devotees have to work during the week. So one question raised, I gave class in our temple. One question raised, Shankaracharya, Lord Shiva, he is a pure devotee, very intimate devotee of Lord Krishna. He always performs whatever Lord Shiva does is for the pleasure of Krishna. So he came to teach Mayavad as a Shankaracharya, and it was performing actually pure bhakti to Krishna. So if you are given a chance between these two, you want to become Mayavadi or atheist, which one would you choose? You can answer me after you thinking thoroughly. Just think deeply, The Lord Shiva is a pure devotee. When he came to teach Mayavadi as a Shankaracharya, he was pleasing Krishna, and that was pure bhakti. So if you are given a chance between these two, you rather choose to become an atheist or Shankaracharya's philosophy you want to adopt. You can answer me later after 10 minutes or something. But I'm going to discuss a little bit about Baladev Vidyabhushan Thakur. He gave a very nice purport on this too. He said that the clue to how the impersonalist can also reach Krishna has been given by our previous Acharya. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur also gave a commentary. A person attains liberation from the mundane plane by following the path of selfless action up to the stage of meditation, as described in the first 6th chapter of Gita. I mentioned that previously also. Then he may undergo very difficult in searching for the Lord on the path of impersonalism. But when he progressed to the stage of dedicating himself to perform welfare work for others, Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata, that word is there, you see in this sloka today, may get the chance to render service to a pure devotee. For example, if one engage in the general public welfare work of opening or running a hospital, if some service is even unknowingly rendered to a Vaishnava, one's devotional merit begins. Just like this taxi driver, he has no idea who Prabhupada was. Those days, ISKCON was not big, so no cars. There is a taxi. Prabhupada had to take a taxi. So the taxi driver looking in the mirror, you know, when you drive, you look in the mirror, the passenger face. So he's asking, are you some kind of a yogi? Prabhupada said, yes, I'm a bhakti yogi. Sasra Maharaj write this story. Then say, what kind of yogi? There's so many yogi coming from India. Are you like one of them? Prabhupada said, no, I am different. Not like any one of them. Oh, what is the difference? He says, in one room, if you bring the most beautiful girl naked, I will not be disturbed, but those yogi will be disturbed. Now, why Prabhupada said this to the driver? And driver looked at in the mirror back. So, wow, you are powerful yogi then. I never hear such thing that somebody can resist like this. Prabhupada said, yes, if you chant Hare Krishna, it will make you transcendental, go beyond this material attraction. So, come back to this, that this driver had no clue, but this conversation, at the end, Prabhupada actually gave him blessing. And this guy has no idea. You know, he's come from somewhere in Middle East and learning how to drive a taxi and make his living, but happened to give a ride to Prabhupada and got special. It's called Agyata Sukriti. Did he plan for it? No, it came automatically by Krishna's arrangement. So by the association with devotee, one develops faith in the original. Try to understand how personalism exists. Personalism does not exist just by looking at the deity. It's an association of devotee. None of you can become devotee without association of devotee. We are associating with Prabhupada's Gita. That's Prabhupada's person who wanted to give us mercy. Try to see from that angle. Divine personal form of the Lord manifests only by the association of the devotees. Automatically abandons the attempt of attaining the impersonal Brahman. So having become faithful to the path of devotion, one takes shelter of a bona fide guru, then engage in devotional practice based on hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, progressing on the path back home, back to Godhead. That's how Lord Krishna is saying, I am the ultimate goal. And the Brahman is only a relative position. It is not a final absolute. Because the absolute position is Krishna's. Only if the Mayavadi serves others, thereby get the chance to serve a Vaishnava. Can they actually come to me? That is the question Krishna is asking indirectly. Because the only way to come to me is through who? Sadhu, Vaishnava. Everybody got it? Krishna's personal form can never be perceived without Sadhu's mercy. You cannot go to temple or a Google's or somewhere and say, okay, I see Krishna. No, not possible. Krishna will never reveal. It is by the mercy possible you can perceive that. This is how Krishna is explaining. Okay. Now we'll go to the next verse, 5. Now Krishna will give a little negativity about impersonal Brahman, how difficult it is. Who is reading text 5?
Hare Krishna.
Aditya Mataji.
Yes.
क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहावाद्भिरव्याप्यते. Translation: For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Purport: The group of transcendentalists who follow the path of the inconceivable, unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord are called Gyana yogis. And persons who are in full Krishna consciousness, engaged in devotional service to the Lord, are called Bhakti yogis. Now, here the difference between Gyana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is definitely expressed. The process of Gyana Yoga, although ultimately bringing one on the same goal, is very troublesome, whereas the path of Bhakti Yoga, the process of being in direct service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is easier and is natural for the embodied soul. The individual soul is embodied since time immemorial. It is very difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that he is not the body. Therefore, the Bhakti Yogi accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind which can thus be applied. Of course, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form within the temple is not idol worship. This is evidence in the Vedic literature that worship may be saguna or nirguna, of the Supreme possessing or not possessing attributes. Worship of the deity in the temple is saguna worship, for the Lord is represented by material qualities. But the form of the Lord, though represented by material qualities such as stone, wood, or oil paint, is not actually material. That is the absolute nature of the Supreme Lord. A crude example may be given here. We may find some mailboxes on the street, and if we post our letters in those boxes, they will naturally go to their destination without difficulty. But any old box or an imitation which we may find somewhere but which is not authorized by the post office will not do the work. Similarly, God has an authorized representation in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. God will accept service through that form. The Lord is omnipotent, all powerful. Therefore, by his incarnation as Archa Vigraha, he can accept the service of the devotee just to make it convenient for the man in conditioned life. So, for the devotee, there is no difficulty in approaching the Supreme immediately and directly, but for those who are following the impersonal way to spiritual realization, the path is difficult. They have to understand the unmanifested representation of the Supreme through such Vedic literatures as the Upanishads, and they have to learn the language, understand the non non-perceptual feelings and realize all these processes. This is not very easy for a common man. A person in Krishna consciousness engaged in devotional service simply by the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, simply by offering regulative obeisances unto the deity, simply by hearing the glories of the Lord, and simply by eating the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord, realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily. There is no doubt that the impersonalists are unnecessarily taking a troublesome path with the risk of not realizing the absolute truth at the ultimate end. But the personalist, without any risk, trouble, or difficulty, approaches the Supreme Personality directly. A similar passage appears in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is stated there that if one ultimately has no surrender, if one ultimately has to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this surrendering process is called Bhakti, but instead takes the trouble to understand what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, and spends his whole life in that way. The result is simply troublesome. Therefore, it is advised here that one should not take up this troublesome path of self realization because there is uncertainty in the ultimate result. A living entity is eternally an individual soul, and if he wants to merge into the spiritual whole, he may accomplish the realization of the eternal and knowledgeable aspects of his original nature. But the blissful portion is not realized. By the grace of some devotees, such a transcendentalist, highly learned in the process of Gyana Yoga, may come to the point of Bhakti Yoga or devotional service. At that time, long practice in impersonalism also becomes a source of trouble because he cannot give up the idea. Therefore, an embodied soul is always in difficulty with the unmanifest, both at the time of practice and at the time of realization. Every living soul is partially independent, and one should know for certain that this unmanifested realization is against the nature of his spiritual blissful self. One should not take up this process. For every individual living entity, the process of Krishna consciousness, which entails full engagement in devotional service, is the best way. If one wants to ignore this devotional service, there is the danger of turning to atheism. Thus, the process of centering attention on the unmanifested, the inconceivable, which is beyond the approach of the senses, are already expressed in this verse, should never be encouraged at any time, especially in this age. It is not advised by the Lord Krishna. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Very nice purport. Thank you, Mata. This is wonderful. How much more you want to convince the personal form attraction? So there are two words which is very negative in this verse. Can you see? Two words are very negative. Krishna used klesha, struggle, and then he used dukkham, misery. Whenever impersonal conception, you think of these two, because Krishna used those words. From his lotus lip, this word came, means it's very difficult. Klesha adhikataras tesham. Adhikataras means mostly, not like sometime, means majority, like 90%. Tesham, of them, who are they? When Krishna says Tesham, who are they? As referred in previous verse, they will get klesha. Those who cannot focus on the personal form. So long you cannot focus on the personal form, so long you are not attached to the deity, so long you are not attached to the personal concept of life, Krishna, impersonalism is in our consciousness. So we have to examine and pray hard to our Guru and Prabhupada, Krishna, to please help me to come forward and meditate on personal form. Then Krishna says, Abhyakta Chetusam. So their consciousness is attached to the impersonal manifestation. That means they are attracted to the impersonal aspect of it. Then Krishna again, Abhyakta hi gatir dukkha. See, first he says, Abhyakta ashakta chetasam. Now he says again, Abhyakta hi gatir dukkha. Those who make Abhyakta as goal of their life, this process is very difficult to them. Deha badi abapate. Those who are embodied. Are you invisible right now, or you are visible embodied? Embodied. I hope everybody, there is no invisible person in the Zoom class. I mean, possible. Of course, invisible means I cannot see. Neither you can see, you have a form. So when you have a form, can you see it is easy with the form or not form? It's easy with the form. So it is difficult for us to conceive and on formless. Material is negative aspect. Devotion is positive. Material is negative aspect. Devotion is positive aspect. An impersonal Brahman is what aspect? Negative or positive? Zero. This is my opinion. Zero aspect. There is no negative, positive. It's zero. Can you imagine a God? Oh, what do you mean? What kind of, what to imagine? No, you cannot explain. Oh, so what to imagine? Just imagine. What? Cannot be explained. How are you going to imagine? How are you going to even meditate impersonal Brahman? That's why Krishna is so mercifully says, klesha. It's difficult. And then he says, dukkha, and you will suffer for it. Giving my material form, trying to concentrate mind on nothing, on the attribute self, activity less, Brahman, it is very much difficult for everyone in general, especially for the embodied soul like us. Just as it is very difficult to create and maintain a vacuum, it is similarly difficult to create a vacuum in consciousness. How do you prove? I asked you other day that you exist. You are thinking. Right now you are listening. You are aware that what's going on in the Zoom. This awareness proves your presence. You exist. Imagine if you don't have the awareness that you are in the Zoom class, that you are listening. Then you would have a doubt whether you exist or not. And more higher than that is feeling. You have emotional feeling. If you didn't have any of this, how do you prove even you exist? This is what these people trying to become or attest. So Krishna is very kindly trying to redirect them. In several verses, Krishna has established that his personal form is highest. I hope you got that. In the 8th chapter, 10th chapter. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. Did he say from impersonal everything is coming, or he says from me everything is coming? From me. Is that impersonal or personal? Think, who is speaking? To speak, you need a mouth. Impersonal cannot have a mouth, so how can he is going to speak? From me coming everything. So think very deeply, like how merciful Krishna saying, look, everything, I'm person, I'm speaking to you, Arjuna, or to all the Zoom media. Then he says, Avajananti mam mura. So those who think of impersonal, they will never know me. That's why 9.11, 7.24 are two important verses where Krishna very clearly says, impersonal aspect is not the highest. And those who think that impersonal is higher than personal is completely mistaken. So our obsession for material becomes less and less when we raise from lower modes to higher modes. When one is in goodness, one is more contemplative. One can surely think about more features of the absolute truth. When we are in passion, I'm asking all of you to examine right now where you are. If you are in passion, Rajagun, you have to act at bodily level a lot. When you are in goodness, your activity is more at the intellectual level. We do not need to act at the bodily level. You think like that at that time. Ramanujacharya has mentioned the 8 attributes which is mentioned here are strikingly similar to the attributes of Atma Krishna as mentioned in 2nd chapter of Bhaktam, Achintayam from 2.23 to 26. Also Ramanujacharya explained a bit different way that Arjuna is asking if someone focuses on Atma, then progress. Other person just focuses on you, who is better? By cultivating Atmagyan, we can detach from matter and attach to the spiritual truth. In first 6 chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada mentioned that mam, the word mam, Krishna used mam, has become or has come very less. But from chapter 7 to 12, do you know how many times Krishna used that word mam? From me, I am. More often than anywhere else. So for focus on first 6 chapter is detaching from the material body and acting in that mode of detachment so that one progress towards absolute truth. So it was all based on Atmagyan. So Arjuna question is, which is better? Chapter 2, chapter 6, Atmagyan, or chapter 7 to 12? Which one? This is called Bhagavad Chintan. Krishna clearly said that those who fix their mind on me, personal form, they are better situated. And as he moves forward, he elaborates on them. You know, this reminded a funny story of Sasur Maharaj. How many of you ever saw Sasur Maharaj? He's the one who wrote the Lilamrita, Prabhupada's biography. Oh, good. One time Srila Prabhupada was walking on 26 2nd Avenue with a boy named Stephen. His earlier name was Stephen, who was practicing Buddhism. So one time he looked through the window. He was a Buddhist monk. And he saw someone looks like a sannyasi monk. He comes from a Jewish family in New York. And he saw another monk. He saw Prabhupada, but he saw that his dress, orange robes. So then he thought, oh, let me go out and see who is this. I never saw. So he came and he met Prabhupada. Those days they didn't have a name, Prabhupada. So they used to call him Swamiji. So he sat down and listened to the class. After the class is over, he came nearby and he says, Swamiji, can you help me to become nothing? Because this is the goal of the path he was following in Buddhism. What the Prabhupada said, what do you mean? He said, well, I learned that I have to become nothing. Prabhupada said, oh, no, there is no such thing called nothing. You are something. Now you change the word that you are something, and then let's start bhakti from something. You are something. Because you cannot give overdose. You know, when the patient comes from nothing, you give something, that's all. You don't have to say you have eternal love, and slowly, of course, he became a very advanced sadhu. So my point in this, I want everybody to remember the oneness of love rests in the two-ness of the lovers. Even the impersonalist. One time, one impersonalist came to Bombay temple, early days. That was not really big temple. Not a temple, actually. It was a house, big rich man's house. And the devotee purposely made it in a way that nobody will look at him, everybody will ignore him. Because ultimately there is no real relationship, it's all bogus, nothing personal, everything is impersonal. So they tried to do it to him. He came in a car, he's a famous impersonalist guru, but nobody even said, hello, Hare Krishna, nothing. Everybody like passing by, not talking with him. And he's like a little bewildered. Why nobody gives any respect or anything? And after 5 minutes, he really asked somebody, why everybody ignoring? Then they said to him, everybody paid attention. So he took the microphone, one devotee, he says, we wanted to see how do you like nothing, impersonal concept. It seems like you are telling everybody to become focus on impersonal, but you want your attention. You want some conversation. You want some reciprocation. Is that impersonal or personal? Did everybody get it? And that person was thinking deeply. Oh my God, these people are really like teaching me something. Of course, I don't know if he became devotee, but all his followers actually followed Prabhupada. That was very nice. So many people conceive of spiritual perfection as a state of absolute oneness. That's fact.
Prabhuji,
Wherein,
can we ask a couple of questions?
I'll be back, Prabhu. 1 second. I'll be back. Just give me 1 minute. All right, give me your question and then I'll explain.
I just want to close the loop on something you said. Rajoguna, bodily level, Sattva-guna, intellectual level. What is Tamo-guna in that category?
Oh, very good. You caught it. That's very good. When we are in passion, we have to act as bodily level. At that time, you are thinking, but you are thinking you are the body. But at Tamagun, you are absorbed in the body, but you're not even thinking. Lazy, inertia. You want to go to sleep or forget about thinking anything. You ever happened that you got up in the middle of the night? Anybody ever had an experience? You got up in the middle of the night, you could not sleep, and you don't know what to do. You cannot even think what to do. These are like a real Tamogun example. So that's Tamogun. At that time, they cannot even think. But when you are in goodness, yes, your activity is more at the intellectual level. Thank you for catching that.
Okay.
We do not need to act at the bodily level, but then not thinking at all, bodily level is worse. But then in a bodily level, Rajagun is better, but intellectual level is better than bodily level.
Thank you.
Is that
Prabhuji.
okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, thank you. The next question I had was, if this is, in this verse, it is so explicitly said that impersonal thing is difficult, it is gives you to misery. Why is then that in India, majority of the people follow the impersonal path?
You can practically see because they have their personal experience of poverty, relationship, unsatisfied, hard labor. They think that something greater means what they are doing has to be better than that. So if my relationship is not satisfying me, then ultimately there should be no relationship. That is probably better. If my hard labor is not making me free from labor, then of course, you know, everybody in this world, even in America, nobody likes labor. Nobody. Karma is something nobody likes, because the soul actually does not have karma in their constitutional nature or function. Karma means not extra activities. Karma means self-centered, selfish. And bhakti means not absence of activity, but bhakti means absence of selfish. Karma means I am for me. So from that angle, if you look at it, the majority people in the world, they are attracted spiritual life. Even in America, like when I spoke to Krill, he always think like, when I go to heaven, I don't have to work. I said, why? He said, oh, I'm tired of working. So they think God or heaven or that atmosphere of spiritual life means something that I have a bad memory here. I don't want to see that ever. But the spiritual relationship is different than the material relationship. That is very difficult for somebody to understand unless they have a devotee association. This is a wonderful question, Mr. Joy Nair Prabhu. You are very thoughtful. Thank you. I'll come back again. So this conception has two crippling problems. Many people conceive spiritual perfection as a state of absolute oneness, wherein one's sense of personal identity is dissolved. Where? In the impersonal absolute. Now, I mentioned this conception has two crippling problems. It reflects neither the scriptural conclusion nor the heart's most cherished longing for love. Now, scriptures, Shastra, Veda, Purana, Bhagavatam especially, certainly refers to the state of oneness as a spiritual perfection, but not as the supreme spiritual perfection. For example, well, you didn't read 15:16, but when you read 15:16, I think Krishna talks about kutastha, a word that connotes the unchangeability frequently associated with oneness, kutastha. Yet, the next verse, Krishna says, he clarifies that such souls are not at the highest level of perfection. That status is reserved for the Supreme Soul, Krishna. So if you look at 15:16, 15:17, then two verses later, 15:19, I saw very interesting that those who know Krishna's position as the Supreme Person become the knower of everything. Significantly, the same verse concludes that such enlightened, happy people worship Krishna wholeheartedly. So enlightenment does not nullify their devotion as should have happened if enlightenment meant realizing one's oneness with the Supreme. Instead, it intensifies their devotion, conveying thereby that enlightenment is characterized by realization of an eternal two-ness, the eternal coexistence of the soul and the super soul, Krishna. And such two-ness is essential for the fulfillment of our heart's most cherished longing for love. If I literally challenge each of you Close your eye and deeply think in your heart. Even though you may have a husband, wife, children, everybody is there. Still, deep down in your heart, you feel like, I want to feel loved, always, utmost, and offer my love. It will be lingering until you come and embrace Krishna. And if we think objectively, the existence of love requires necessarily the pre-existence of the lover, isn't? And the beloved. And the eternality of love requires the eternality of the lovers. Dear devotees, this is the key point. Their oneness is not ontological, but emotional. The union of the hearts relished. The greater this feeling of oneness, the deeper the love. But the depth of love, or even its very existence, is impossible without the lovers being two distinct people. So we can conclude the two-ness of the lovers underlie the oneness of love. Srila Prabhupada very profoundly explained the definition of prema. He says, when two entities are eternally attracted to each other by unadulterated love, that is bhakti. Such a beautiful way Prabhupada put it. So we are going to go to text 6 and 7, and then we'll come back to few questions.
So I
Mother,
think it's
okay, go ahead.
I think text 6, but not to read word for word translation, yes?
Yes. The sloka.
Yetu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matpara ananena vayogena mamdayant upasate tishamam samudartam itu samsara sagarat bhavamina chirat parta maya vishita chetasam. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engage in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, for them, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Purpose. It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to him. His duty is to render service to the Lord, and if he does not, then he will render service to Maya. As stated before, the Supreme Lord can be appreciated only by devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. One should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve him. One should work only for Krishna. It does not matter in what kind of work one engages, but what work should be done only for Krishna. But that work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjuna did in the Battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord herein promises that without delay he will deliver a pure devotee thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice can willfully transfer the soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga process, and others take the opportunity in various ways. But as far as a devotee is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord himself takes him. The devotee does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky. In the Vara Purana, this verse appears. Nayami paramam stanam archir adi gatim vina garudo skandam aropya yatecham anivarita. The purpose of this verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planet. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord himself. He clearly states here that he himself becomes a deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents, and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by his great mercy, comes at once, riding on his bird carrier Garuda, and at once deliver the devotee from material existence. Although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayana, this is confirmed as follows. Yavai sadhana sampati purusharta chatoshtaye taya vinatad apnoti naro narayana shraya. The purport of this verse is that one should not engage in the different processes of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by the mental speculative process. One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic processes, speculations, rituals, sacrifices, charities, etc. That is the specific benediction of devotional service, simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily, but this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. The conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is stated in the 18th chapter. Sarva dharma pratyagya mamikam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva bhavebhyo. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful actions of his past life, because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Futilely. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme Omnipotent Godhead Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life.
Very good. Thank you, Prabhu. So this is a very, very, very wonderful. 6 and 7. I want to just read the word-to-word meaning one more time, because we are ending with this impersonal conception by this sloka. Then we'll go to gradation of progression in bhakti, 8 to 12. Sarvani karmani, you can look at the verse, see what it's. Sarvani karmani, all activities. Sarvani karmani, offering all your activities to me, Krishna says. Matpara, making me the ultimate goal. Ananya naiva yogena, without any distraction, the mind steadily fixed on me. Mam dhyanto upasate, They meditate on me. Tesam aham samudharta. For those people who aham samudrata, I become their deliverer. Mrittu samsara sagarat, from the ocean of birth and death. Bhavami, I become. Not chirat partha, not after long time. Mai aveshita chetusam, those who fix their mind on me. Now, if we look at the similar verse in 12.2, today we just read 1 hour or maybe 1 hour before. With moi avesha, manojemam, if you look at the second verse, and now the end verse 7, this verse, 12.7 ends with moi aveshita chetusam. Do you see the similar word? Very interesting. So those who fix mind on Krishna, jetu sarvani karmani, those who offer all their works to me. Right now you're listening about Krishna, Bhagavad Gita. Is this for yourself or are you offering to Krishna?
Offering to Krishna.
Okay. You can explain in the chat how you're offering. That's good. That's a good thought. Jetu sarvani karmani, those who offer all their works to me, those who renounce their work for me, those who make me their ultimate goal, those who meditate on me, those who worship me, for them I become deliverer. What a beautiful verse. So here Krishna is telling the difference between meditating on him and meditating on impersonal. Impersonal cannot be any reciprocation. If you meditate impersonal, who is going to deliver you? Krishna didn't say, I will deliver you. Krishna says, if you meditate on me as a personal form, I will deliver you. He can manifest his form. See how beautifully way the Krishna presents this poetic form. If a person is climbing through a rope, just imagine, and rope is tied to impersonal thing. He has to put all effort in coming out of pulling himself up. But if the rope is in the hand of a person, that person also help. He will also pull us. We can also try from our side. You understand the logic? What I'm trying to say? Okay, good. If we are not able to try from our side, we are so weak, but we have desire to come out, that person can still help us by pulling us. That is the difference between impersonal and personal aspect. Like that Krishna says, aham samudhara, samudrata, I become swept deliverer. He's highlighting to me that this process is easier because I intervene personally in favor of all my Zoom devotees. I mean, all my devotees. Siddhar Swami, the old commentator, he gives an explanation. I remember that Krishna personally gives spiritual knowledge, which is required by devotees. By this knowledge, devotee become disentangled. That is Krishna's mercy. Aham samudharta. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that Krishna not only gives knowledge, he also intervenes in the life of a devotee. As he has mentioned in Yoga, Shkemam Bahami Aham. We discussed that previous couple chapter before. In the purport, I remember Prabhupada said it is explicitly stated that devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from material existence by the Lord. Bhavami na chirat partho. In this here today it says they will be delivered very soon. It's the same thing repeated. Now in the purport, Prabhupada says, this Prabhu, he just read, it does not matter what kind of work one engage. Did you just hear what Nirguna Prabhu read? Very interesting. Prabhupada writes, it does not matter what kind of work, whether you are a fighter like Arjuna, or you are a kitchen cooker, cook, or you are a sweeper on the street. It doesn't matter. But that work should be done only for Krishna. That's all. That's the only criteria or intention has to be. Mai sannasa mat para. So Arjuna might have doubt about his work. We may have different kinds of work to do, but whatever work we may have to do in devotional service, just do it faithfully and fix mind on Krishna. Then one may be elevated. Then Krishna says, Jetu sarvani karmani. This is not license for doing sinful activity. This is interesting. Sarvani karmani refers to varnashram duties, dear Prabhus and mothers. Whatever duty we have to do for sadharma, we have to do it for Lord's sake. Therefore, purport, Prabhupada writes, Lord himself takes him. The devotees does not need to wait to become a very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual life or spiritual sky. Devotees need not have to wait, as Lord will take care for him. That's why this verse says, Bhavami, not Chirat Partha. The same thing in Baraha Puran also says by one commentator, this verse, Nayami Paramam Sthanam Archiradi Gatim Bina Gurura Skandam Arutpa Jatecham Hani Varita. Nayami, I take Paramam Sthanam to the supreme destination. Archir Adi Gatim Bina. Archir refers to different path by which soul is transferred. The bam, pritiyam. So Krishna is saying, Archir adi gatim bina. They are not required for a devotee. Lord will personally take care of his devotee without all these people. And how? Question is how? Garura skandam aruppa. Situated on the shoulder of Garura. Jate cham anivartya. It was very funny. Garura was carrying a snake and he was passing by Mayapur, Navadvip, and the snake's tail was touching the Ganges, Mother Ganges. And the snake was looking at Garura's face. He was so frightened and he's meditating that he's going to eat me up. But because he was so much frightened and meditating on Garura, and one side of the snake tail was touching the Mother Ganges, and he actually departed. Then after a little while, Garura is thinking, okay, I need to sit down to eat the snake. And he looked at it. So it became a personal form of a devotee, no more snake. So it's a very interesting that how Krishna takes care of each devotee. So we should have a very good conviction within us and also enthusiasm with patience and determination that will go. So the question may arise. I want to go to the next 8 to 12. Very important. 8, 9, 10, 12. 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5 verses. 4 verses is gradation. 5 verses is a conclusion. 5th verse is conclusion. Hopefully we can read. Have a 5 devotee ready with Mother Palika Pavani Devidasi. 5 devotees should be ready to read that.
Yes,
Whoever did not read, please allow them first. So
Brihanna
this way.
Prabhu.
Who is?
Brihanna Das Prabhu will be reading.
Okay. But before that, I'm going to throw a question just for you, those who are, I hope some of your brain is sweating. Prabhupada said it's good brain sweats. He said, write an article in BTG such a way that the intellectual people's brain sweats. Have you ever experienced brain sweat? I don't mean physical body sweats, brain sweats. So for the brain sweats devotees, I mean all of you, a question. Are Sahajiyas better than Mayavadis? What do you learn from 1 to 7 so far? You can answer me later because it's a beautiful question. And another question is, I already mentioned that about the Shiva, being a devotee, came to do bhakti, and he did bhakti by propagating the Mayavad. So if you are given a chance, not a third, two, between two, become an atheist or Mayavadi, which one you would choose? The third question, these are for the brain sweating. It's good. You will meditate on Krishna. What is the difference between pure impersonal Jyoti or effulgence of the Lord, of the impersonalist, and the void of voidist? Because you may face in your life, some of your relative friends are meditating like that, or maybe you are doing sometime. So you have to find the answer. So we'll start with 8, 9, and then if we have time, we'll come back to discuss that. Okay, 8 to 12, we're going to talk about progressive stage of bhakti. Please pay attention. See where you fit. You fit in text 8. Can you relate that? Oh, that's me. Yeah, that's who I am. Or you see 8, you say, oh no, I don't fit. This is very advanced. Then see number 9. Oh yeah, that's what I do. Or some of you may say, I wish I was there, but I'm not there. Okay, maybe number 10. So let's see who, you don't have to disclose, but you can examine. So please, Prabhu, Brihad Nath Prabhu, you start with text 8.
Hare Krishna. Mayeva manadata, may buddhi nivesha, nivasyashyasi mayeva tau dharvam na sanshaya. Translation. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Purport. One who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnaized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so. Although this is a process recommended in the Bhagavad Gita and in other Vedic literatures. Hare Krishna.
Very good. So chapter 12, so far what we did this morning, 1 to 7, worship of personal form is superior to impersonal Brahman. Everybody got it, right? More or less, I hope. Good. Then 8 to 12, what we are doing, we're talking about progressive stages of bhakti. Progressive stages of bhakti or devotional service. Then tomorrow we'll do 13 to 20, talk about qualities that endear one to Krishna. So 8 to 12 is very significant. It actually gives you a clue where you are in your spiritual path and where you need to go. So on this text 8, this Prabhu read very nicely, Mayeva. Are you solely dedicated to Krishna right now in your life? Your wife, your husband, your children, everybody you see with Krishna, in Krishna relationship? You don't have to answer, you answer to yourself. You don't have to answer to me. If you are seeing that way, the work you do for Krishna, then you are situated in that position. If you say, well, sometime, then let's see, we'll come to the next sloka, see what it says. But in this sloka, I want to make it very clear. Krishna said, Mano adasta, fixing your mind on me. Mai buddhi niveshaya, let your intelligence fixed on me. Then he says, Niveshyashi mai eva. In this way, you will reside in me. See how many times he says? He says, on me, in me. Then Nivash means reside. Where? Atho urdhavam na samshaya. Of this there is no doubt, Krishna says. So Krishna is giving the highest level. Krishna is giving the highest level that if you fix your mind, intelligent on me, then you live in me itself. Generally, we live where our subtle beliefs. Are you aware? Whether you live in Italy or India or America, do you really living by the location or by your subtle body existence? You can examine yourself. We don't live where our physical body lives. You can say, when my eyes open, I see this is America, Florida, whatever. But an addict person's mind is always on the object of addiction. So if our subtle body is with Krishna, we are also with Krishna. I'm not talking about your physical body. Oh, I am a woman, I am a lady, I'm a man, I'm a husband. I'm not talking about physical body. I'm talking about your subtle body. This is what Krishna is saying. Krishna did not say your physical body. Did you see in the verse what Krishna says? He says your buddhi, your mind. He did not say your physical body. So we have to pay attention how Krishna is saying to be with him. So our subtle body is with Krishna. If we are with Krishna in subtle body, then we are with Krishna. Physically, you may be in America. Doesn't matter. Krishna did not say it's important right now in this sloka. So what is happening now? Past 6 chapter is slow development, which culminated in the process of bhakti. 7th chapter to 12th chapter, Krishna has talked about supremacy of bhakti in terms of it being the highest reality. And after that, Krishna is offering a descending ladder, step by step. Once it is concluded that bhakti is the best way, it is better than demigod worship, better than Ashtanga Yoga, better than Karma Yoga, better than Gyana Yoga, better than Vishwarup Upasan. Yesterday, or no, last weekend we did the 11th chapter. Better than Brahma Upasana. Then someone may think that, oh, bhakti is the best. Wait, am I qualified to practice bhakti? Bhakti seems to be so exalted, shatata jukta antamam, constantly engage in service, constantly think of me. Prabhu, I'm not at that level. What should I do? I hope none of you thinking. I think sometimes. Sure. So Krishna says, because I'm not at the high level. So Krishna says, now I will offer you multiple level of bhakti. It is described earlier how one moves slowly from karma yoga to jnana yoga to bhakti yoga. So if someone doubts that I'm not qualified to do bhakti, so better I do something else, then I come to bhakti. Then Krishna says that actually bhakti can also be practiced at multiple levels. Everybody understood that point? This is very clear. Okay. I don't want to go off like something I'm not touching. We can perform bhakti at the level we feel comfortable. And from there, we can rise upwards to the highest level. So Krishna is not going to offer a ladder of devotion, ladder of love, So 8 to 12 talk about this, where 12th is very complicated verse. We'll discuss that hopefully today or tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. So the Bhagavad Gita 12.8 to 12.10 outlines a ladder of love that extends down to from the highest level. What is the highest level? Offer the mind. I want everybody to remember this verse saying, what is the highest level? Offer the mind and intelligence to Krishna entirely. Did not say if you physically go to temple, physically you uttering the devotional practice. Physically we're doing it so that our mind get engaged. Physically we're doing it so our intelligence can be absorbed. This is very important. Practice sadhana bhakti. The next verse will come to fix the mind on Krishna and thereby increase our desire for him. And then the 12.10, just a synopsis, Krishna will say work for Krishna. This level includes two implicit sub-levels. What is the difference between 12.8 to 9? 12.8, mind is directly attached to Krishna. Ask yourself if your mind attached to Krishna. That is how one is able to fix the mind on Krishna. 12.9, the next verse we are going to read, does not have natural attachment to Krishna. Be honest to yourself. I disclose to you that sometimes I think of Krishna, but then again I forget. For half an hour I didn't even think where the mind went. This one, that one, nothing to do with Krishna. Then again I pull it back. It's like a big battle. So next verse, Krishna is very kindly saying, mind does not have to be naturally attachment to Krishna. Therefore, if you feel your mind cannot be attached, then you have to practice fixing mind on Krishna. Mind goes here and there, but one has to bring it back. Below, above is working for Krishna. So the best level Krishna recommends is fixing mind. So our goal, everybody understand, more your mind is fixed on Krishna, that is the highest level. As long as you understand, that is good. Srila Prabhupada was in America, but he was not in America. When he left Vrindavan, he did not leave Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada carried Vrindavan with him. We can take a pure devotee out of Vrindavan, but we cannot take Vrindavan out of pure devotee. Can you remember that? Become like that. You can take pure devotee out of Vrindavan, but you cannot take Vrindavan out of pure devotee. Prabhupada said that. That's why I'm just repeating in my way of understanding. So we need to understand that the appreciation we get for our service is not as consequential as the absorption we get in our service. Whenever we do anything, we usually have a various level of motivation for doing anything in the temple. Like yesterday, when we had I spent generally 4 hours every Sunday feast because we organize the whole festival, and we have a 500-600 devotee comes. This is the only temple like a full-fledged open since pandemic. We never closed even for a day because we are very strict, but some other Krishna's arrangement, management, and everything, some other devotees cooperation. Actually, devotees are so lovely here. I love those devotees. And because of their cooperation, well-wishing, everything was so beautiful. You can absorb in Krishna. So whenever we do think, we usually have a various level of motivation for doing anything. And depending on how deep or substantial a motivation is, we persevere in that activity when you face obstacles, isn't? You can relate what I'm trying to express. The same principle applies in our practice of bhakti too. We often want a sense of acceptability and respectability in our community. And if that community is pious or spiritual, the kind of services we do therein determines our status. So we may do services to gain appreciation. Such appreciation is not always a craving of the ego. It can also be basic human need for reciprocation. Try to understand. To some, we should not be fanatic. Oh, I don't want any glory. I said, Baba, this is not a glory. Just appreciating that you helped is nothing wrong. Krishna is appreciating Arjuna's help. Krishna wants this appreciation. Of course, if my ego is being fanned, then I have to watch that. Because everyone goes through their own moods and issues. They may not appreciate us, even if we do something worth appreciating. Sometimes you may feel like this in your relation with the devotees, in your performance of devotional service in some temple or group. That is why if appreciation from others remain our sole motive for doing service, our bhakti practice will soon become erratic and sporadic, I would say. So to develop a steadier and deeper motivation, we need to understand that our ultimate purpose in practicing bhakti is to connect with Krishna. And that connection comes in the most enriching and fulfilling way through absorption in him. Other day, who was asking, somebody was asking, was it in this group, that I was mentioning that all the people that goes back home, back to God, and they have a one common thread. Who remembers? One common thing. Everybody, the 6 types of people enter into spiritual world, the 7.1.30, but they all have a one common thing. If you know, you can let me know. And that connection comes in the most enriching and fulfilling way through absorption. That was the point. Aveshutu agam hitta bhavata gatim gata. Avesh. So indeed, if our mind and intelligence are absorbed in him, then we will attain him at the end of our life. Krishna gives this guarantee. Anybody knows? 8.7. You can read this. Maybe print out, put it on a bedroom. Before you go to sleep, after you wake up and look at it. Krishna says, guarantee you will come back to me. 8.7. Not only that, we are already living in him. When you're thinking right now, we are living in Krishna because we are talking about him. We are discussing about how sweet. Living in him doesn't mean like you have to meditate on his form only. His words, his names, his associates, his pastimes, these are all on the same absolute platform. Not only that, we are already living in him right now by this. And our elevation to his abode is just a matter of time. So I'll end here and we'll go to the next verse. If we get absorption in a service, can you relate to that? That itself is a great treasure we need to cherish, because such absorption will keep us with Krishna now and forever. Every moment that you thought of Krishna is never lost. Please remember that. Did you ever meet an artist, how they paint or draw a picture? How they do? First they take a pencil, they do little scratch. We have 3 artists here in this temple, famous artists from Prabhupada's time, Pushkar Prabhu, Mother Jodhurani, they all live here in Alachua. So they do a little sketch. Sometime in the class, they don't fall asleep if they draw this. Even Sadaputta Prabhu, the scientist, he used to do that. He does some mathematics always, so he doesn't fall asleep. I'm not saying that This is what we have to do. But somewhere you have to stay awake during the Zoom class. I'm sure you are doing. So some or other get your mind absorbed in Krishna. That is the conclusion. So text 9, who is reading? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, it's me, Prabhuji. I'm reading.
Okay.
Atha chitam samadhatum na shaknoshi mai sthiram abhyasa yogena tatmama ichcha aptum dhananjaya. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Purport. In this verse, two different processes of Bhakti Yoga are indicated. The first applies to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by transcendental love, and the other is for one who has not developed an attachment for the Supreme Person by transcendental love. For the second class, there are different prescribed rules and regulations one can follow to be ultimately elevated to the stage of attachment to Krishna. Bhakti Yoga is a purification of the senses. At the present moment in material existence, the senses are always impure, being engaged in sense gratification. But by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, these senses can become purified. And in the purified state, they become directly in contact with the Supreme Lord. In this material existence, I may be engaged in some service to some master, but I don't really lovingly serve my master. I simply serve to get some money. And the master also is not in love. He takes service from me and pays me. So there is no question of love. But for spiritual life, one must be elevated to the pure stage of love. That stage of love can be achieved by practice of devotional service performed with the present senses. This love of God is now in a dormant state in everyone's heart, and their love of God is manifested in different ways, but it is contaminated by material association. Now the heart has to be purified of the material association, and that dormant natural love for Krishna has to be revived. That is the whole process. To practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, either enter the temple and offer prayers and chant Hare Krishna, then collect flowers to offer to the deity, cook foodstuffs to offer to the deity, take prasadam, and so on. There are various rules and regulations which one should follow, and one should constantly hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. This practice can help anyone rise to the level of love of God, and then he is sure of his progress into spiritual kingdom of God. This practice of Bhakti Yoga under the rules and regulation with the direction of a spiritual master will surely bring one to the stage of love of God. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Very nice. Such a sweet purport. Here Krishna is saying atha. Atha, the Sanskrit word, because he knows the Alachua devotee, or at least I feel like he knows me, that I cannot do the first one, X8, completely absorb my mind or engage my intelligence. So Krishna is out of mercy. He's saying, atha, if Pran Govind Das, you cannot do that, then this is the second thing. See if you can do that. What is it? Chittam samadhatum na shuknashi. If, however, it is not possible for you to be satisfied of thinking of Krishna, if you cannot think of me constantly, Mai stiram. Stiram means steadily. Then abhasa yogena tato. Abhasa yoga means practice yoga. Can we all do that? Sure. That's what Krishna meant. Yes, your mind is not going towards me, then you practice. How long can you practice? 30 seconds? Do it for 30 seconds every few hours. Then do it for 1 minute. Grow, slowly grow. Don't just think like, oh, I'm failure, I can't do it 5 minutes. No, just do it very little. 30 seconds. Focus on particular quality of Krishna or form or your deity. Do it often, every 2 hours, 3 hours, let's do it. After a few days, you'll see it goes to 1 minute automatically instead of 30 seconds. And eventually you'll come to few minutes. Not that you will become like externally lazy, that nobody, like you won't be able to move. No, no. You will come to a point where all your activities will turn into absorption in Krishna. This is what Abhasa Yogena Krishna meant. The mind goes here and there, but we bring it back. Like mind may straw away, means go here, there, but let us not make it stay away. Like child, I don't know if you ever had experience of mischievous child, running from this room to that room, throwing this toy, touching this, drinking a dirty water. It's like keeping mommy so busy. So should mommy try to like fix up things, everything the child is breaking, or should take care of the child first and then take care of the rest other? You have to apply your intelligence to answer that. And those who are experienced, I'm sure you will be able to answer. But if you start fixing up, you will end up always, as I mentioned one class, I think, that if you are not proactive, you will be maladaptive or inactive. If you are not prepared, then what happened to you? You keep on repairing. So if you don't want to repair, then prepare. This is very true. Then Krishna says, Abbasha Yogena Tato. What will happen by Abbas? He gives the assurance. If you practice this every day, then he says, Mam Ichchaptum Dhananjaya. Abstain the desire to attain me. What a wonderful assurance. The word Dhyana Jaya is used because Arjuna conquered wealth. But the supreme wealth is the attraction for Krishna. None of the wealth of this world can help us at the time of death. I'm sure all of you will agree. But the wealth of attraction to Krishna, the wealth of remembrance to Krishna can take us back to the spiritual world, where we'll be eternally happy. Supreme wealth is the desire to attain me. Remember this. Write it in your memory. The supreme wealth I need is the desire always to attain Krishna. We may have many desires, but we don't have desire to attain Krishna. Once we get that desire and it becomes the supreme perfection of life, then you are successful. We are dressed up as a devotee. We perform devotional services. But now, how strong is the desire to attain Krishna? Just like some Mataji dress very well with the saris, some Prabhu's iron shirt, nice dhoti, iron dhoti, whatever, it's good. I'm not criticizing or anything. I'm saying these are all, you pay attention. How about your desire to attain Krishna? How fine? Is it iron? Is it clean? Is it like a very rigid? If we keep fixing mind on Krishna gradually, at subconscious level, we start seeing, yes, fixing mind on Krishna is so joyful, and doing other things are so agitating, so entangling. Let me try to fix mind on Krishna more and more. And then we move to next level. So text 10, who is reading? We're going to go one more sloka and then we'll stop. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mataji,
I'm
it
reading,
is
Prabhuji.
Archana Bhakti Mataji. I have allotted to Archana Bhakti Mataji.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
yes,
I thought you texted me text 10. No problem.
Okay.
You want me to read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, carry on. Mataji left it to you.
Okay. अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्मा परमो भव मदर्थम अपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिम् अवाप्स्यसि. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Purport. One who is not able even to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of a spiritual master
can still be drawn to this perfectional stage by working for the Supreme Lord. How to do this work has already been explained in the 55th verse of the 11th chapter. One should be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. There are many devotees who are engaged in the propagation of Krishna consciousness, and they require help. So even if one cannot directly practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, he can try to help such work. Every endeavor requires land, capital, organization, and labor. Just as in business, one requires a place to stay, some capital to use, some labor, and some organization to expand, so the same is required in the service of Krishna. The only difference is that in materialism, one works for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that is spiritual activity. If one has sufficient money, he can help in building an office or temple for propagating Krishna consciousness. Or he can help with publications. There are various fields of activity, and one should be interested in such activities. If one cannot sacrifice the results of his activities, the same person can still sacrifice some percentage to propagate Krishna consciousness. This voluntary service to the cause of Krishna consciousness will help one to rise to a higher state of love of God, whereupon one becomes perfect. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So Krishna is so kind. He's some or other giving a different method and comforting that don't worry, wherever you are. The purpose is to tune out the mind. You have to tune in to Krishna. This is what Krishna is trying to depict very nicely. So this verse very quickly, and then one more verse will end. Krishna says, if you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So, abhasopi asamarthospi. Asamartha means incapable. Abhas, already we mentioned previous sloka, that practice. Abhaso yogena tato mamicha aptum dhananja. By practicing to yoga, obtain the desire to attain me. Now, similar, abhas api asamarthasi. That if you are incapable of doing practice every day, I don't think any one of you are here, but if someone you are, difficult, Prabhu, to do every day chanting and this, then Krishna is giving you third option. Mat karma paramo bhava. Make my karma, the supreme goal, become dedicated to working for me. What is the difference with the previous? Let's see. Paramo can mean supreme. Paramo can also means mat para, fix the mind on me. Make me your ultimate aspiration. Mat karma paramo bhava. So there is a difference between mat para and mat karma parama. Mat para means our heart, our mind, intelligent, our whole being is offered to Sri Krishna. This is higher level than mat karma parama. Mat karma parama means we are doing various work, but we understand that the work we are doing for Krishna is the most important and work for him. So I try to work for Krishna and I make all my work as an offering to him. Then what will happen by this? Mad artham api karmani. If you in this way work for me, Krishna says, Kurban siddhim avapsashi. You will attain perfection by this also. Now Sri Krishna is extending the mercy lower and lower. If a person is in dry well, just an example I'm giving you. Someone gives him rope. And he says, you stretch yourself, stand on your toes, catch the rope, and I'll pull you out. The person says, I cannot do this. Okay, then the person lowers the rope more. Say, just raise your arm. If you cannot stand up and grab the rope, then at least wherever you're sitting, raise your arm, catch the rope. Still the person say, I can't do this. Then Krishna says, okay. Sorry, I'm putting the metaphor. Krishna didn't say, but I'm just putting the metaphor, how it's coming down lower. Then says, I will lower rope further. Just tie the rope around your waist. You're sitting, you cannot raise your hand, then put the rope around your waist. And I will pull you out. This is what 3 sloka grading down. And Krishna is saying, Mad artham api karmani. If you work in this way, kurban siddhi mavapsasi. What a sweet word. He says, siddhi, perfection you will attain. The word siddhi literally means perfection. We heard those verses in Manushanam Sahaseshu Kashchi Jatadi Siddhaya, similar word. So we'll go to the next last verse for today, number 11. Who is ready?
Apurva Shakti Devidasi.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
अथैतदप्य शक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. Purport. It may be that one is unable even to sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of some other impediments. If one attaches himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objections from family members or so many other difficulties. For one who has such a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated result of his activities to some good cause. Such procedures are described in the Vedic rules. There are many descriptions of sacrifices and special functions of punya or special work in which the result of one's previous action may be applied. Thus, one may gradually become elevated to the state of knowledge. It is also found that when one is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness, it is found that when one who is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness gives charity to some hospital or some other social institution, he gives up the hard-earned results of his activities. That is also recommended here because by the practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is sure to purify his mind gradually. And in that purified state of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna consciousness. Of course, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any other experience because Krishna consciousness itself can purify one's mind. But if there are impediments to accepting Krishna consciousness, one may try to give up the results of his actions. In that respect, social service, community service, national service, sacrifice for one's country, etc., may be accepted so that someday one may come to the stage of pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 18:46, we find it is stated, Yatah pravritir bhutanam. If one decides to sacrifice for the supreme cause, even if he does not know that the supreme cause is Krishna, he will come gradually to understand that Krishna is the supreme cause by the sacrificial method. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Very good. So we'll end here. I'll explain a little bit of this and then we'll end. And those who have to leave, you can leave. If you have some question, you can stay. Here, the last verse for today, that Krishna is expressing that after further level down. We may think like if person cannot work for Krishna, then get out. You are a materialist. Generally we think, isn't? You are not chanting, you're not thinking of Krishna. Okay, you are already lower. Then we meet somebody, he comes only to help some work for Krishna. Or we think he's lower than those who are practicing. Then when we see somebody never comes to temple, never even talk to devotee, just busy on his own world, but he's sacrificing for his family, for the country. We don't even consider them as a path in Krishna consciousness. But Srila Prabhupada, it literally woke me up when I read that purport last night. That Srila Prabhupada is further expanding Krishna's inner feeling for the soul to come back. Because we do think, if a person cannot work for Krishna, then get out. You are a materialist. You are a sinful person. You are going to go to hell. Well, we don't say that, but we feel sometime in mind. No, Krishna does not exhibit such an attitude. It's such a lovely God. Krishna's great love accommodates even those who refuse to accommodate him. This is unparalleled. How Krishna does that? By encouraging them to do a general spirit of sacrifice. If you look at these words very deeply, athai tad api ashaktashi. Atha. Aitad. Aitad means, as described in the previous verse, ashaktashi, if one is not able to do even that. Kartum madjogam ashrita. That means even if one cannot do, what he cannot do? Mat karma parama bhava, working for me. Then what should one do? That's the question. Krishna expressed this. Sarva karma phalote gam. Then give up the fruit of the work. I see in America, so many young boys and girls, they give up their life for the sake of their family or country. All over the world, I'm sure. This kind of sacrifice people do all the time. They work very hard for their family. Krishna has used this verse. Earlier also in Bhagavad Gita 2.45, you can look at similar. Traigunna Vishaya Veda Nistraigunna Bhavarjuna Nirdanda Nittashattasto Nirjogaskema Atmavan. Krishna also gave that indication. That there Krishna is saying, so go, Arjuna, go beyond the three modes. Become situated in transcendence. Be in pure goodness. Transcendence. Be free from the consideration of gain and loss by holding unto Atma. The word Vana means possessor like Dhanavan. Normally we think the possession or object possessed, the possessor are different. So Atmavan, how can possessor and possession be same? You remember in Bamandev and Bali Maharaj's discussion, how Bamandev actually punished Bali Maharaj after he took over the entire creation with 2 steps. He said, you promised to give me three steps. Where is the place for the 3rd steps? And Bali Maharaj is genius. He thought, and he expressed to Prabhu, Bamandev, say, Prabhu, the possessor is more important than possession. So far you have taken only possession, but I was the possessor, I still exist. So place your 3rd step on my head. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful way of understanding how Krishna actually wants the soul to come back like this. Sometimes when people become old, they lose memory. In America, they call Alzheimer. And say they may be the owner of their house, but they do not know that they are the owner of. So similarly, we may be in possession of something, but we don't know that we are possessor. So at the spirit level, we have everything as we are connected to Krishna. But since we have forgotten our connection, so meaning of being Atmavan is to become aware of ourselves, to be Atma, soul. What is available to us at that level? To the extent a person is obsessed at material thing, to that level, he cannot understand spiritual reality. That is self-examination you have to do, all of you. So here Krishna is saying, even one stops working and starts sacrificing that point onwards, one slowly develops spirit of selfless sacrifice. That gradually makes one self-aware. So I consciousness is detrimental for us in path of Krishna consciousness, isn't? Observe in cause of loving and serving Krishna. A devotee's primary focus is how can I serve Krishna? How many times your mind literally you contemplate it in your mind? Many times. That's why Prabhupada says here, it may be that one is unable even to sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because social, familial, religious consideration, Prabhupada just mentioned, or because of some other impediment. If one attached himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objections from family member, so many other difficulties. For one who has such problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated result of his activity to some good cause. So the point here is to cultivate the value of sacrifice. Bhagavad Gita does accommodate the principle of social sacrifice, which people are doing. What they call Lions Club. In our, even though small town here, we have a Scottish Rite, Lions Club, all kinds of different group. And their main purpose is they sacrifice for others' well-wishing. So that concern for others is the step forward in their evolution of their consciousness, which will ultimately bring them to Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is bringing the ladder of mercy down and down to accommodate those who cannot accommodate him. That's why Srila Prabhupada's purport, as Mataji just read, 1846, we find it is stated, Jataha Pravritti Bhutanam. Beautiful. If one decides to sacrifice for the supreme cause, even if he does not know that the supreme cause is Krishna, he will come gradually to understand that Krishna is the supreme cause by the sacrificial method. So beautiful. It is said, by worshipping that supreme Lord with one's work, Siddhim Bindati, one will attain supreme perfection. So who is the Lord one should worship? In that connection, it is said, Jata Pravritti Bhutanam. I like the way Prabhupada brought that sentence here in the purport. That Lord from whom all of existence emanated, from whom all pravrittis of living entity. Pravritti means, you break down, prakriti prati vritti, the attraction or function towards prakriti or nature. Prakriti prati vritti is pravritti. Jena sarvam idam tatam, by whom the whole creation is pervaded. So the point made over here is whatever propensity that we have, not sinful ones, but in Varnashram situation, Kshatriya propensity, that way one will act, but don't act in just a materialistic way, but act according to the spiritualistic understanding in Krishna's service. And if not in Krishna's way, then at least in general way, selflessness. So here we see the ladder of mercy going downward. In this way, one comes to the spiritual consciousness. And Jiva Goswami Pad also added, I read one Jiva Goswami Pad's commentary on this, that we should not accept spiritual masters simply based on their position in the organization. Oh, this guru is very popular in ISKCON. I'm going to take initiation from him. Jiva Goswami Pad does not support that. I am from Brahmana family. I heard this Maharaj is from Brahmana family, so I think I should just stick to that. This is not proper. This Goswami is from the caste. I'll accept him. Just because someone is in specific position in hierarchy, that doesn't make someone spiritually advanced. So if someone is not connected with a spiritual organization, but if that person is having selflessness, we should see good in that person. Yes, that person may not have a Atma Gyan right now. That person may not have Bhagavan Bhakti right now. That person may be breaking regulative principles. We can blame that person for so many things, but that is not the only way for looking at the things. We should also see what the person have. Say he is having selflessness to some extent, then we can appreciate that person, isn't? Can we develop that attitude? As it is said by Krishna, we can take gold even from a filthy place. How did Srila Prabhupada started this movement? Taking the hippies. Made them to Brahmana, first class Vaishnava. So this is the last point I would add here. Everybody please remember 4 things, please write it down or memorize this, what I made a little note. The Bhagavan has given 4 sequential options in descending order. Verse 8, 9, 10, 11. But I'm going to word it in my way of understanding. The Bhagavan has given 4 sequential options in descending order for person possessing 4 types of adhikar. Adhikar means what? Eligibility. 1, by fixing one's mind on the origin form of Bhagavan, one should try to achieve Nirupadik Prem. Nirupadik Prem means no adulteration, pure. Through the process of Sravanam, Kirtanam, 9 limbs of Bhakti. This is the path of Raganuga Bhakti, natural attachment. That applies text 8. And you can, this is not only, Bhakti Shastri, this is your life coach. These 4 verses, you make a little drawing and you'll say, okay, there where I am, but I want to go higher, that level in 6 months or 6 days, like that. The second, for those who are unable to absorb the mind in Bhagavan, through the path of attachment, it is better to take shelter of practice every day. Sadhana. It's called Vaidhi Bhakti. So first is Raganuga Bhakti, second is Vaidhi Bhakti. Third, some few of you may feel like, oh, it's like so many wording, how many things to remember. Believe me, there was a day I could not understand anything. I still don't understand probably. But those words make sense to me now when I see that. Yes, I don't want only Vaidhi Bhakti. I want purpose of Vaidhi Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti. I want to go there. Automatically it motivates me. But there was a day I could not understand any of this. I thought, can I do Bhakti without knowing all this, without understanding? I thought, I remember in my opinion. But now I think, how could I ever think like that? Imagine you are excited to reach your destiny and every GPS indication how valuable it is. Wow, it is very valuable. Now that's not the goal, but it is very valuable that I am following and reaching my destiny. Similar. These two, first is Raganuga, then Vaidhi. Third, for those, the text 10, so 8, 9, 10, 11, and then tomorrow we'll start with 12 and the rest will complete. For those who are unable to perform even practicing sadhana in the form of Vaidhi Bhakti, it is necessary to become devoted to performing work for Bhagavan. For an example, Sunday feast, they come and donate money. They donate for Janmashtami. They do this, they do that, little bit like Sam Prabhu was mentioning. Yes, those are included here. Then number 4, those who are unable to even perform action in service to Bhagavan, it is better become surrendered to him and perform that karma prescribed in the Vedas, offering him the fruits of their action. As a result, such action, one will gradually, step by step, attain the path leading to pure bhakti. So I end with this. First is, you can literally think in your mind, fix mind on Krishna without deviation. Hari Bol. What will be the result? You live in relation with Krishna. So that's one. Everybody understood that? Second, Prabhu, I cannot do that. I cannot fix my mind on Krishna all the time and live with him in relationship. Okay, then the second thing you can do, follow daily sadhana, daily practice, chanting, getting up early morning, honoring only prasadam, like this. Then what is the purpose? Developing a desire to attain Krishna. So first purpose is you have a relationship with Krishna, live with him. Second purpose is you're doing sadhana, but the purpose is developing a desire, strong desire to attain Krishna. Now comes third. Work for Krishna. Okay, Prabhu, I don't get up in the morning, I don't chant, but I come and help distributing prasadam every day. There are some devotee does here. I call them devotee too, because Krishna accepted them as devotee. So that's third category. What is their purpose? The purpose is they will come to a stage of sadhana bhakti very soon, someday. This life or this year, I don't know. Only Krishna knows and each of them knows. Then number 4, even if you say, well, I cannot do that either, Prabhu. Okay. Then can you exhibit some renunciation, cultivation of knowledge, meditation, something you do in your own time, in your own house. What the purpose is? It will purify. Peace will come, gradual elevation will come, and then they will gradually go from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. Okay, I end here. If any question or reflection, comment, discussion, and those who have to go, you can go. I'm sorry, I know you are late in your own home in India, but there are a lot of devotees. Nirguna Prabhu is in Italy. He doesn't go to sleep, so it is okay, he can stay. He's a yogi. And some Prabhus and mothers are in America or Canada, then you can stay. If you have any question, comment.
Yes, I have. That's why. But I don't want. I feel it's a little bit not nice. If somebody wants to ask before me, it's okay. I will ask later. I have a question about. Somebody wants to ask before me. Anyway, my question is about the Shodikataras Tesham. Avyaktam Saktam Chetasam Vyakta Dukam Dahavadir Avapyate. Why? This is a question I have for 20 years. Why Krishna says that advancement in his path is very difficult for those who embodied, and it makes it sound like, to be honest, I heard this, now I can say, okay, for sure, but when I heard this first time and for a long time, in terms of faith, it sounds like it is the right path, but it will be difficult for you.
You mean the impersonal conception or the personal conception?
The impersonal. This is the Shodikatasasham. He says
Yes,
advancement in this path is always difficult for
yes.
those who are embodied. It doesn't say it's difficult. Generally, it's difficult. It's impossible. It sounds like it doesn't say it's not good or it's not the truth. It just says it's difficult for those who are embodied. And then many times in the purport of Prabhupada, there are things like this that he says, like, quiet silence meditation is very difficult for this age of Kali Yuga. It doesn't say that it's less than chanting. I'm not saying like I tried Vasana and things like this, but I realized that he says it, and then you might read it and say, I'm a person of challenges. I want this challenge to be challenged with silence meditation. I don't want to have a discount. And you tell me about the yogi who can transfer himself to another planet, and Krishna comes to pick up the devotee. I'm not a small child. I want to not to be picked up. I wanted to challenge myself and to be that yogi that can transfer himself to the other planet. So there are many things like this in the purport of Srila Prabhupada and especially here that Krishna himself says for those who are embodied. He doesn't say generally it's difficult. So you just wonder who is not embodied, and is it ghosts? Is it recommended for ghosts? I mean, who is not embodied, and why is it not recommended for those who are embodied? And why not generally it's not so good? Of course, in other verses, he says that he considers superior those who are meditating on my personal form. Still.
Very good. Very good. Well, let's see the verse again to okay. Now, on your point on this silence, I would request you to read 17. There's a famous verse, Manaprasadat Sammattam Maunam Atma Vinigraha. Prabhupada gave a very nice explanation. Maunam, what is that means, Maunam? 17.16 or 15, 16, I think 16, yeah, 17.16, that what is Maunam, silence, literally means. So now let's go to this verse and then I come back. Because, no, I'll just adjust to this Maunam because it's now Krishna reminding me something. The Mauna Brata, austerity of the mind is satisfaction. Mental silence is more defining than verbal silence. Mental silence is more defining than verbal silence. You'll see amongst your friends, some people, especially those seeking to grow inwards, taking a vow of silence, known in Sanskrit called Mauna Brata. The rationale for such a vow is that often words draw, even drag our consciousness externally towards worldly object. Sound is one of the sense object, and it impels us towards other sense object. So silence is useful tool for containing our material entanglement. Yes, while verbal silence is helpful, the inner redirection of consciousness needs something more to be effective. Mental silence. After all, the tongue moves to speak because why? Why tongue moves to speak? Examine yourself right now. Because mind has something to speak. If mind doesn't have something to speak, tongue would not move. As long as the mind is agitated, verbal silence seems like suppression. I agree with you, Prabhu, and leads to relapse. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives this, refers to silence and the austerity of the mind. Instead of an austerity of speech, the component of which are listed in the previous verse also, we see that in the Bhagavad Gita, that Bhakti Yoga focuses more on silencing the mind of its mundane prattle by focusing it on Krishna, the all-attractive Supreme, who is the ultimate reservoir of whatever it is that is attracted or attractive in this world. So when we direct our consciousness towards Krishna by practicing Bhakti Yoga, we are fulfilling the ultimate purpose of the vow of silence, the redirection of consciousness. So you have joined, I have joined, we are discussing. This is ultimate purpose of that vow of silence. Externally, Bhakti Yoga contains activity that may seem opposite to silence. Devotees are dancing, jumping, singing, walking, running here, there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associate, they did that too. Activities such as singing, speaking Krishna's glories, these activities are determinedly practiced by advanced transcendentalists who have grasped how Krishna is the supreme essence of all of reality, whose minds are not attached or attracted to anything except Krishna. Still, such non-silence activities serve the same ultimate purpose that is served by silence, and serve that purpose far more effectively. So instead of striving for silence, if we strive to speak about Krishna consistently, just like we are doing right now, we will find our journey towards transcendence far more enlivening and fulfilling. And that is what Prabhupada meant to in his purport. You can read, please, 17 chapter 15, 17 chapter 16, both beautiful purport. Now back to this 12th chapter, that Krishna says, Klesha adhikataras tesham abhyakta asakta chesasam. Why did he say that embodied? It's a very funny example. One friend of mine, he's a sannyasi, he mentioned sometime, he said, Pran Govind, how do you feel if you are stuck on a wall, they tie you up, and you're starving, and in front of you, a big Mahaprasadam plate with all 56 bhog, 56 prep. Krishna ate, now the prasadam is available for you to eat, but you cannot eat because your hands are unkept or chained. You can see, that's all, but you cannot eat. How do you feel? Can anybody answer? How do you feel if you ever put to that? I hope you never do that.
Torture.
Torture, very good answer. We have spiritual body, spiritual senses, merging into Brahman is a torture for the soul. But the soul who wants to merge cannot see that the beauty of Krishna consciousness in personalism. Because they come from a, I think I mentioned here, maybe not, how this idea of Gyana appears in the Veda or in this world. The idea of merging, where it's coming from. The idea of Gyana, where it's coming from. Frustration of karma. Frustration, disappointment of karma creates the soul hungerness for Gyana. I'm tired of this life. I'm so frustrated, just married, didn't work, oh, just too much. I don't want anything. I just want to get out. This frustration comes. It's natural in this world. Frustration is natural in this world. In spiritual world, there is no such thing, frustration. So the Gyana idea born, and there's a beautiful pastime. If I ever get time in future, I'll tell you. There's a beautiful pastime how from the soulmate of heaven, that's why the heaven is created. You get the highest sense pleasure, and then you're being forced out from that enjoyment. The whole purpose Krishna created this to focus his relationship with him. We have an eternal, beautiful relationship with Krishna. And that's such a fulfillment, that relationship, that you don't want anything else. So Krishna says it is very difficult because, as you know, the idea of Gyani means they want to get out of the material life, material sense enjoyment. We are one. The devotee and the Gyani, on that point, we are one. Even Mayavadis, we are not product of this world. We all agree. We want to get out. We even say, I even say so many times, that if you love Krishna more than this world, Krishna will take you out of the world. Yes, that transformation is, we are all one in that sense. But after that transformation, what is there, everybody remains silent. Buddhism remains silent. Shankara Mayavadi philosophy remains silent. Most of the religion in this world remains silent. First transformation, we all agree, more or less. Sometimes some of the concepts they have even better than ours. But the second transformation, the reviving, awaken our relationship with Krishna, everybody's silence, except the Vaishnavas. That is the fundamental difference. And that second transformation is based on these three principles: love, lover, and beloved. They are eternally, you cannot destroy. It is existing by its own right. That's how originally Krishna created this. Not that we are created, but we have to say it like that, because otherwise there's no word to explain that. Eternally we are set with a beautiful, beautiful, fulfilling, heart-nourishing relationship with God. That reciprocal is so satisfying. But until we come to that point, that's why Krishna is so nicely, he says, pleasure. And then he says, dukkha. Two words, not just one. He said it's struggle and misery. This is a very nice question, Nirguna Prabhu. I can see you are already liberated soul. That's why you're focusing. And you are very advanced soul. I hope someday I'll get your mercy. Thank you. Any other reflection?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my Dandavat Pranam. Jai Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna, Mother Syamala Gopika. Yes, Mother.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. So I have a question in, so Krishna says the different layers of a devotee. But how can we understand, like, Bhakti means we study that Anya Vilashita Sunya Gyana Karma. So that is Bhakti we are saying, that is Bhakti. But here Krishna gives the different layers of Bhakti. So all these three layers are called Bhakti. So then how we can understand it?
Krishna did not say they are pure bhakti. Annavilasita Shunyam is a definition of Uttama Bhakti, isn't? The verse says, Annavilasita Shunyam Gyana Karmadi Anabritam Anukulyana Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttama. So he says Uttama Bhakti. But in this case, these 4 verses, first one, now I have to give a little clue about it. Not that pure bhakti, Brajavashi, they perform. They are not Raganuga. Brajavashis are not Raganuga. I hope everybody understand. They are Ragatmika. Ragatmika means they have 2 things. What's the verse? Iste sarasiki raga parama avishtata bhavet. Tanmaya bhavet bhakti sa ragatmika udita. Rupa Goswami Pad in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he put that sloka. Iste sarasiki raga. The object of love, Krishna, they have a sarasiki rag. Rag is like a red color. This is my way of understanding. Because many years back we were discussing this, how to understand. If you have a crystal glass, mother, and you put some water, how do you make a red looking? How can you make it red? You can paint the glass outside with the red paint. Now the water looks also red. This is called material love. Now if we keep on washing this cup, this glass cup, after some time you will see the red paint peel off. Why? Because the love that we experience in the material world has nothing to do with the pure love, because it peels off. I love this person so much. After some time I think, that love disappeared. What happened? I think that other person loves me more. So it seems like it's a peeling off, in a sense, that we are not completely satisfied. Now let me ask you this question. If you melt this glass with that red chemical and recrystallize a new glass, at that time what happened to the red color in the glass?
If we melt, it will go. The color will go.
Color will?
I guess it will go from, if we melt it, the glass.
With the red paint, red chemical, and you recrystallize a new cup with the red color. What happened to the red color? Will it go fade away?
No.
No. Because it becomes part of the glass. So this is exactly what we're doing. We have an experience of the material love, red chemical. But when we are practicing bhakti, this gradual progress, Krishna did not say that you just sacrifice for your family, you are pure bhakta. He didn't say that. If you look at the last verse, I didn't say either. Prabhupada didn't say either. But he says you are on the perfect path, that you will focus on what? That you will focus on level 1. You are on the 4th level, but eventually you will come to level 1. And that's why I gave the tips of the gradation, that how to see. So level 1 is Mayeva Mana Adhasta May Buddhe Niveshaya. If you remember that verse, that those whose mind is fixed in Krishna, those whose intelligence is absorbed in Krishna, who are they? They are Brajavashis. They are Raganuga Bhakta, Ragatmika Bhakta. They are actually acting on that platform. That is pure bhakti. But those who are practicing to come to that point, they are called sadhaka. Now sadhaka are also following the pure bhakti, but they haven't awakened the bhava. But as soon they awaken bhava, they are also pure bhakta. And bhava will not be given by Krishna. This is nectar of devotion. By Krishna easily. Krishna wants to see how desperate you really want, how really you develop an attitude to serve him nicely. When Krishna, he's going to give some test. And those are required, challenges are required to establish our genuine conviction. That's why I made that example, if you remember, was it in this group or not, that if, yeah, I thought so. If one girl comes and say, oh, Prabhu, I love you. I never met her. I love you so much. I was looking all over the world. You are the only person I want to marry and be with you. I said, wow, how is this possible? Somebody really expressed so much. And I have millions of dollars. I have a big house. I don't need anything. Everything is there for you just to serve you. Wow, is this real? Doubtful starts. And after 7 days, I see that she does the same thing to another boy. How do I feel? Oh, Krishna, this was a hallucination, illusion. So when we express our love through Maya, Krishna tests it. Okay, let's see if this person, Mother Shyamala Gopika, Devi Dasi wants to come back to serve Krishna. Maya Devi say, okay, let me just check it out. Some sickness comes or something comes, you can't chant, but you striving. I don't care, I'm going to chant. I cannot forget Krishna, I want to chant. And once you graduate, and I also discuss about it, remember 3 levels. While someone is going down, what is their attitude maintained? While they are at the level of fallen down, are they thinking of getting up or stay fallen? Krishna is paying attention. And while you are coming back, if you are focused and you regret, you repent, that will determine your journey, how smooth or rough it will be next. So in this process of gradual progression, Krishna, through Maya, of course, Krishna gave out of compassion that even if you sacrifice for your family, you're still in the path of bhakti. He did not say you became Uttam Bhakta. You are on that path. Because by sacrificing, it purifies. It gives some peace, gradual elevation, next life or next year or next birth, whatever, he will start from where he left. He will be inquisitive to learn more. Hare Krishna people will give them books. Just like this Shiva Bhakta. Yesterday we were celebrating Shiva Ratri. This boy was born blind. This boy was born in a poor family, very poor. But his parents, some or other, with some flower mix, they got blindness. And this poor child has to go to school, take care of his parents, and so much. And as he grow up big, he saw a beautiful sight of a rich man's daughter. And he's thinking, I want to marry her. Then he's examining his heart. I am poor. My parents are blind. I don't have any access. Neither I'll be able to marry her, but I want to marry her. But he had one thing strong, is a strong desire. I want to get out of this poverty. I want to get out of this parents' blindness. I want to help them to get cured. And I want to marry and live happy. But Krishna some or other directed him. There was a Shiva Ratri Utsav was going on and he came there. And I'm sure you all heard that story. And then what happened? There was a Hare Krishna devotee also. They are everywhere nowadays. And he had a conversation with him. He said, why don't you chant Hare Krishna and also pray to Shiva? He will help you. He said, really? Will I get my all desire fulfilled? He said, anything possible by the mercy of Shiva. Because he's merciful. But you chant Hare Krishna. So he was chanting. This story happened, real story in Mathura. So then what happened? He collected some ingredients and he did Shiva Puja. At the end of his Shiva Puja, he really saw a very mystical, Shiva just appeared. And he said, wow, you're real. Shiva said, of course I'm real. You just did the puja. because you listen the Hare Krishna devotee, that's why I appeared. Oh, really? He said, okay. He said, wait, before you say anything, I give you only one boon. I know you have many desires, but you cannot get more than one. So you decide which one you want. Oh, he felt very, but he knows the Hare Krishna devotees are very smart, intelligent. He said, Prabhu, can you give me one day? Can I reveal to you tomorrow what I want? Lord Shiva says, sure. After everything finished, he went to Hare Krishna devotee and he asked the Hare Krishna devotee, I'm in dilemma. Lord Shiva appeared. The devotee is very happy. Yes, why not? You are sincere. You are not duplicitous, so Lord appeared. But problem is, I want Prabhu, at least these three things. I want to get out of the poverty. I want to help my parents, because even for toilet and everything, I have to hold their hand, take them to toilet. I have to bring them water. It's okay. I want to serve them, but it's very painful seeing that they're blind. They cannot do anything for themselves. And third is, I also have a desire to marry that rich man's daughter. She's so beautiful. Said, well, you already got the promise from the Lord Shiva, he'll give you. He said, but he'll give me only one, but I have three at least. He said, okay, you tell him like this. So he said, okay. So next day he worshiped. He never worshipped in his life. Now he is so excited. Lord Shiva really appeared again. Okay, my boy, you ready? Says, yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. He said, okay, ask me for a one boon only. He said, Prabhu, I want a boon that my parents should see their grandchild eating on a gold plate in a palace. Did everybody get it?
Very clever.
This is called Hare Krishna philosophy. So then Lord Shiva says, how did you come up with this? He said, because of the Hare Krishna devotees. Lord Shiva was very merciful. He says, you should always hang around and associate with them. Your life will be successful. Okay, I give you that boon. And he became rich. And he got married to that. Otherwise, how you will have a grandchildren? And the parents has to see. So eye has to be operated. So everything is like this. So Krishna helps according to the sincerity, gradual progression, and then they will come to pure bhakti. I don't know if I hit your exact satisfactory answer, but that's how it is. But these are steps towards pure bhakti. So first two are pure bhakti. Second is supporting pure bhakti. Third is they will gradually progress or come to pure bhakti. Is that okay, Mother Shyamala Gopika?
Yes, Prabhu. So I just want to reconfirm. So the practitioners, the practicing devotee can say still they are a devotee, or only when we come to the stage of pure bhakti we can call them as a devotee. So as we are practicing devotees.
Boy, you are thinking a lot. This is a wonderful question. I don't know if everybody got it. This is a beautiful, nice question. And I'll try to get you the verse. This is in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. If you have Bhanu Maharaj's, there's a beautiful verse Rupa Goswami Pad gives. Utpanna rataya samman sammak nirvigna anupagata Krishna sakshat krito yogga sadhaka parikirtita. He says sadhaka, who are the practitioners? Are they pure devotee or not pure devotee? Are they in a fixed path, or they are like kind of tumbling? So Rupa Goswami Pad explained. It says, Utpanna rataya samman. Utpanna means produce. They have produced attraction for Krishna. They feel attraction to Krishna. They feel to chant. They feel to serve. They have that. Utpanna rataya. Rataya means attachment towards Krishna. They do. Nirvigna anupagata. But their trouble is not gone. They still struggle. Seems like they are not pure devotees. Seems like they are no, that can be there because they don't let go. even though they want to get out of the entanglement, but it's not easy. But still, they have a rati for the Lord. Then third line it says, Krishna Sakshat Krito Yogga. Actually, they are eligible to see Krishna face to face. Now you may say, tomorrow's verse 12, I will explain you what is the importance of seeing the beauty of the Lord. Because once you see the beauty of the Lord, you actually dissolve all your impression of karma forever. Even one time, that darshan. It's so important. So goal of life should be to see Krishna in this life before we depart. Why not? Prabhupada had a conversation in Los Angeles. In the morning walk, he says, oh, Prabhupada, you are very happy. What's going on? He said, I had a long conversation at night with Krishna in the dream. He said to go back to India. Krishna told Prabhupada, you should go back to India. You have preached enough in these Mleccha countries. But he said, no, I'm not going back. Can you imagine he talked to Krishna like this? Because Prabhupada is that Rashik Bhakta. And then he says, what I'll do in India? Then I tried to preach, but nobody is interested about you. They're all interested for sense gratification. Then Krishna says, don't worry, you will have a temple in Vrindavan. And right after that, actually, Vrindavan temple came after 1 year. And you will have a temple in Mayapur, Bombay, then you can preach there. Now you have done enough in the West. He said, no, my Guru Maharaj, your best follower, he told me to preach here. I'm following him. This is a good logic you can use. When you follow Prabhupada, you can talk to Krishna like this. Prabhupada said to do this, I'm doing it. And it pleases Krishna. Where is the proof? He says in 82 chapter, Vipra Sudama's Lord Krishna revealed himself to the queens. They were disturbed in Dwarka. I won't say the whole story, it's a long story. But he says one of the Tusyaham yes, Tusyam Sarvatma Guru Shusrushaya Jatha. That Nahamidja Prajatibam Tapasya Upashamanava. So Krishna says over there's a few verses. He says, even if you become perfect brahmachari, grihastha, banaprastha, sannyas, I'm not pleased. That does not attract me. That's good for you. You're doing this. If you become a first-class brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shuddha, doesn't please me. But if you strictly following your guru, that pleases me. So Prabhupada hold on to like this. Said, I'm trying to please your follower. He told me what to do. Sir. Krishna was very happy. This is a beautiful, beautiful. So here Rupa Goswami says, Krishna Sakshat Krito Yogga, that they are eligible, but they may not see Krishna, but they are eligible. So sadhaka parikirtita, and they are considered sadhaka, they are pure. But externally we cannot see them. It looks like they're still struggling. But see, underlining what Krishna, Rupa Goswami says, that they have an attraction to Krishna. Strong attraction. They will never give up chanting. They will never give up serving. They will never take any food without offering. They are already pure. Is that answers?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice question.
Pran Govinda, when you gave the answer, suddenly there was a technical problem for me and I could not hear half of it. I just want to know for sure, I will listen in the recording. Did you answer the part of who is exactly who Krishna means when it says not embodied, like is it mean ghost or something? Like who is the not embodied, like
no, embodied means they don't have a physical body in one sense, but everybody has a spiritual body. But those who are Gyani, they restrict their human body, they restrict their heart, function of the heart, emotional, they literally punish themselves. That's what indirectly it means. Not that they don't have any body. They have a body, but there is no function of the body. They literally like punish. I don't know if you ever met somebody. There was in India, there was a Kathia Baba, Telanga Sami, famous in Bengal. There's some British time, there's a pastimes. And how much they do punishment to their senses and their heart, as if look like they are like a doll, or they are there or not there, nobody knows. And Nirguna Prabhu, why don't you text me? I'm going to send you something also. You can read. Very nice.
About what?
Huh?
About what?
You text me on the WhatsApp. If you have a WhatsApp, I'll send you some article. You also read. It will be nice. This is very nice question. This. So we'll end here, unless somebody has any reflection
So Prabhuji,
from today. What you're taking with you?
the questions we gave, would you said you will be discussing after the class? The three questions which you gave.
Oh, Krishna. Oh, you remember those? I don't know if we have time. Those who have to leave, you can go. And if Mother Aditi Lata can stay, I'll tell her the question answer. What was the question was first, Mata?
First is Sahajiya is better than impersonalism? That's what you asked.
And what is your answer?
No, because Sahajiyas are worse. And impersonalism, from impersonalism, at least they will slowly go in the above level. And because impersonalism is, this is not Mayavadi impersonalism. This is the Kumaras were also impersonalist initially, and then they became Krishna conscious. So that's how I'm saying.
Well, let's go back. The question was, are Sahajiyas better than Mayavadis? Yeah?
No, this is impersonalism, you said.
I think the second question was that what's the difference between pure effulgence of the impersonalist and the void of voidist?
Okay, second question, you said Mayavadi or atheism?
Oh, that's the third. Okay, whatever, the number is not a problem. The question was that since Lord Shiva is a pure devotee, and he did perform pure devotion by preaching Mayavad, so would you, this is like a tricky question, would you become, if there is a choice between two, would you become atheist or Mayavadi? Which is better?
Mayavadi is better in this scenario because Shankaracharya also gave, also always said, in the end, he always said that Krishna is everything. So that way we will go to Krishna. But generally it is always said Mayavadi is the worst. But atheism is, I think it's worse because you don't believe in God. You don't believe that God exists or anything is of God.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you, maybe you can wipe out all the answer you wrote so far. Let's refresh writing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Roji, shall I comment on that?
Sure.
So Prabhuji, somewhere I have heard that like the atheists are better than the Mayavadi, and the reason behind that is Mayavadi, they are impersonalist, right? So once they will merge into the effulgence, so they will be going nowhere, you know. So I mean, so that is the nowhere, going nowhere. There is no activity, nowhere going. They will stuck there only. Atheist, there is the chance. There is the chance they will come to the Krishna consciousness if they are getting any contact of that, because many of the atheists are converted to the Krishna consciousness. So there is very, very sooner chance than as compared to the impersonalist. So impersonalists, once merged to the effulgence, they will be stuck there. There is very, very rare chance to come out. Atheists, they are very soon, they can come out, they can join to Krishna consciousness. Their activity will be with the Krishna. So that's I wanted to say, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Very good. So I'll add with that. This is nice. Good discussion. This way you can actually remove the unnecessary consciousness lingering in our pure heart. If you want to progress or learn in life, if you have a slate, is it better to have a blank slate or a messy writing slate? Which one?
Blank.
The blank slate, Prabhuji.
Yes, so the blank slate is atheist. It's better. Because then you fill it up, what is necessary. But messy writing, you are attached, oh, I wrote this, but I don't want to wipe it. Oh, then you kind of get emotion, and it really difficult to get out of it. But clean slate is easy because there is nothing. As Ramna Shyam Prabhu says, very nice. There are actually one of the temple president, she's a genius. I love her. She comes from a deep-rooted atheist American family. And when she met Prabhupada, she did not come to become devotee. She just attracted to she's a photographer. She's attracted to just this glamour of devotees. And she likes it. And then she comes and she enjoys the prasadam. She likes it. She said, slowly, I was like a surprise. There was no clue that I will become a disciple. It's impossible. I was just attracted. I am an atheist, that's it. And today, he is one of the dedicated members. She is a temple president of a big temple in ISKCON. There's another ISKCON guru also. He used to write a little board in front of his bathroom, brushing teeth, in the mirror. I am God. Some idea was there. Is a atheistic, a negative atheistic, means you don't have to look for God. You are God. So it's an impersonal atheist in a sense. But they don't have any practice. He just loved that as a child, young man, goes to college. And Prabhupada went there to Harvard to give a speech. And he was trying to get attention. He's a white American boy. Some or other, I think Prabhupada is directly connected with Krishna all the time. And Prabhupada also turning his face. When he comes in front, he goes to other side and talking to somebody else. And he's thinking like, oh, how is this? And he's trying to get, at one point, Prabhupada turned back to him. He said, you are not God. You got it? He was like, wow, is this how you say to somebody first time you meet? Obviously, Prabhupada knew that he's contemplating, he thinks he is God. Next day, Prabhupada did the same thing to him. He's trying again. He was like a puzzle. How did he say that I'm not God? How did he know that I'm thinking I am God? Because that's what he was thinking. He come from a very high-class American local, Karmi family. Next day when he said that, he said, I want to join and figure it out what it is. And he joined. And today he's such a sincere, lovely devotee. So we see that atheists, they have a blank slate. They really don't have much. But impersonally, they are so corrupted, Mayavadis. Their consciousness is so corrupted, it's difficult. They can come, but it's difficult. Because they have to readjust so hard. That's that. Now our Sahajiya, I want also you to have a blank slate. Question is, are Sahajiyas better than Mayavadis? Yes. How? There are 4 categories of people with respect to their relationship with the matter and with Krishna. The materialists are detached from Krishna, attached to the matter, isn't it? Mayavadis are detached from the matter and they are detached from Krishna also. They are detached from the matter and detached from God. The Sahajiyas are attached to Krishna, but they are attached to matter also. Everybody understanding what I'm trying? It's a very simple. Sahajiyas are everywhere in this world, even amongst devotees. And I think I mentioned that Prabhupada woke me up when I read that sentence in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, one of the purport. I can refer to you, or you can type it, you'll find it. Prabhupada says Sahajiyas are dangerous, but it is worse when our people become Sahajiya. I was like, oh my God, some of the ISKCON devotee going to become Sahajiya. Because Prabhupada sees it. Everything he says is all true, coming true. So it's possible. But they're not bad. Just that they have an attachment to Krishna, they also have an attachment to matter. That's the only. This way, if you look at it, then it's easy to sort it out. Sahaji are attached to Krishna and they are attached to matter also. Devotees are attached to Krishna and detached from matter. Can you do a drawing by tomorrow? These 4 things and see. 4th guy with it, yeah? Okay. You can do a little drawing and put it like that. Okay, devotee means attached to Krishna, detached from matter. Mayavadi, detached from matter, detached from Krishna. Wow, it's just the opposite. And then you put in between Sahajiyas, and you can even draw many. But along with that, amongst them, who are the best? Devotees, obviously, are the best. But along with that, attachment to Krishna always auspicious. Everybody agrees that? This is what even Krishna himself says. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Arjuna says, Pavitram. What is Krishna? Pavitram, all auspicious. Uttamam, transcendental. So along with that, attachment to Krishna always auspicious. So relatively speaking, the Sahajiyas who are attached to Krishna are better than devotees who are detached from Krishna. It makes sense? Now, why relatively speaking, but because it will depend on the Sahajiyas who are attached to matter. What is the nature of the attachment to matter? If because of their attachment to matter, they are just not able to give up some non-sinful attachment. I mean, it is nothing hiding. There are some devotee children even sometimes goes off, get to smoking, marijuana. I mean, we all know. We don't have to, but it happens. But still they are higher, better, because they have some attachment to Krishna. They love prasadam, they love kirtan. I see that. So the Mayavadis, if they are living moral lives, they are not focusing so much on blasphemy of Krishna, but are just focusing on impersonal Brahman. That means they are Brahmavadis more than Mayavadis. Everybody understand that concept? That's why Prabhupada mentioned, it disturbed me many years back. I could not understand why Mayavadis are offender and Brahmavadis are okay. Both are impersonalist. Actually, I had even argument in a class many years back. I won't say the speaker. And it woke me up and I did a lot of research, and very mercifully that Mataji actually, because she pressured me to think more deeper, and I went and researched. And after research, we found Prabhupada's all the comments, and she was very happy because she got benefited, I got benefited, temple, every devotee got benefited, to understand. That's why I'm speaking, why I understood that way. So whenever we make categories, categories are very good for conceptual understanding. But taxonomy is the whole subject of classification. If you classify, can never ever be mapped onto reality in a precise one-to-one sense. Now, all the Sahajiyas are not the same. All Mayavadis are not the same. Do you know in Mayapur, on the 4th floor, Prabhupada room is on 3rd floor, Lotus building, near, well, next room to bathroom, next to the bathroom. Above that, 4th floor corner, middle of the night, I remember one time, Bhavananda Maharaj woke me up. He said, where is this noise coming? Music. Is a Bollywood. Those days there was no Bollywood. There was a whatever in Hindi song, something, cinema song. And it was about 1 o'clock. Me and Mahasingha Swami, we went, and sure enough, it's coming from one guest room. So we knocked the door. They cannot hear. Finally, we had to like scream. Then finally they opened. The old man, 78 years old, he dressed as a, you know, I mean, I don't mean to offend, you know. He has a peacock feather. He dressed like a Krishna, and his wrinkled cheek, it looks so ugly, you know. I mean, I don't mean to depict, but I cannot forget that scenery. And there was some old widow mothers. They are dressed like a gopi and they're having a dance. Ras Leela dance. This is one type of Sahajiyas. In Mayapur, you can experience, if you travel, how many types of Sahajiyas. Now, that's why I said all Sahajiyas are not the same. Just like one devotee, his father is a guru. He said literally, he's a very simple man. He came to see his father. So when I heard he's a famous guru in his village, so I asked him, I said, I heard you eat fish. He said, but we don't eat fish when Krishna is awake. I said, I'm sorry, what does that mean? He said at 8:30, we put Krishna to go to sleep. Then when Krishna sleeps, we can eat fish, no problem. But when Krishna wakes up during the day, we don't eat. Now, this way I learned, like, how many types of corruption is there? They think Krishna goes to sleep, you can eat fish. And this is there. And he's a big guru, all his disciples, they eat fish at night after 8:30, something like that, when they go. So all Sahajiyas are not same. All Mayavadis are not same either. So therefore, we have to look at the individual consciousness and conduct a specific Sahajiya or specific Mayavadi to be able to compare. But in general, if the Sahajiyas, due to their attachment to Krishna, are performing devotional service because of their attachment to matter, they are not becoming hypocritical, but are just doing some nonsense, sinful material indulgence, which devotee should not do, but they're doing them. That is not a very serious problem. I'm not saying it's good, but it's not as serious problem. But if they are renouncing what are doing sinful activity, they are eternally, and I should say entirely against the principle of renounce ashram, then that is much more serious problem. So you have to look at from each individual case. But that's why I throw that question, as long as we have good understanding. Because amongst us, you will see some devotee are still involved in this kind of, maybe.
Yeah,
In
Prabhuji,
America, they fight, should we eat chocolate or not chocolate?
Prabhuji, I have heard in Vrindavan one type of Sahajiya who think that they have found out their Swarup, and they they take Gopal, Bal Gopal with them and dress them and as if their own kid, and they try to become their mother or father. And so that, what type of Sahajiya is that? So is this a sinful one? I mean, I just want to know.
No, we cannot categorize like that, sinful or not sinful. We can say that this is not bona fide, but their absorption, their thinking of Krishna and they're trying to do something, that is good because eternally they have a relationship. But the imitation is not acceptable. But then if the absorption is very strong, like Putana was imitationist. She came to Vrindavan with a beautiful Mataji, like demigods. That's why Mother Yashoda allowed. If she would come as a Putana, 12 miles bari, I don't think Mother Yashoda would ever even think. But she came like a so attractive, like a divine mother. So Mother Yashoda and Rohini Maya, they felt it's okay. Krishna is so attractive. Why not demigod's wife come to see him? So because her absorption was for Krishna, even though she wanted to kill him by poison breast milk, but she got position as a mother. So if their absorption is very strong, they will get purified. But please, I'm not promoting that. I'm not saying that you can do whatever you want, anybody can do. And no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Krishna's absorption to Krishna will purify, definitely. So we have to see like that way.
Prabhuji, so in the other day's lecture, you said, I couldn't, ask you at that time, I was not well. So Putana, you said, is a position, is a post. But Krishna, somewhere, I think in Bhagavatam, we read that Putana also, Krishna is so merciful. Even Putana got a mother's position in
Datri.
So
Datri Uchitam.
Yeah, so then which Putana got that?
Datri Uchitam means nursing mother. Datri in India they call Datrima, Datrima, one of the 7 mothers, Datrima, who like a nursing mother. They even breastfeed the babies, I was told. Putana is a position, is not my opinion, is a Sanatana Goswami Pad mentioned in Dasamiti Tippani. And Bali Maharaj's sister, one place it says, another place it says Bali Maharaj's daughter, Ratnabali. She was so attached to Bamandev because she loves, just like mothers, they love children. Seeing Bamandev as a child, such attractive. She said, I wish I would have a child like that. So Bamandev wink, with a wink, with the eye. Means, okay, no problem. I'll come to you as a child. Or you can hold me as a child. But then when everything is taken by Bamandev, his name is Trivikram. Same Bamandev became Trivikram, means he conquered the whole creation, everything. Then she became so angry, he said, I can't believe this. Now my brother has nothing, or my father has nothing. How can he do this? If that was my child, I would just kill him. So Trivikram also winked, no problem. Any desire, so be careful what you desire to Krishna. You'll fulfill your desire. So that soul came and took the form of Putana. Putana is a post in that sense. Putana is eternally there in the material world. In the Golok Vrindavan is also Putana there, not a form, conception. That there is a witch who kidnapped my son and Mother Yashoda hug him, alone let go. Even though there is no witch, but that conception is there. To nourish.
So she got a position in Vaikuntha, permanent position?
When you see her, you can ask her where she is.
No, I don't
Dhatri Uchitam means nursing mother in Brajadham.
Okay.
In Vaikuntha, nobody feeds God. Even Kapil Dev is there in Vaikuntha, but when Kapil Dev appeared, he's a yogi. And Mother, Kardamuni's wife, she immediately remembered, oh, Brahmaji said, don't treat him like a normal child, he's God. So as soon as Kapil Dev appeared, she's thinking, oh, he's God. So Kapil Dev also said, yes, I'm God. He started walking. Have you seen a child born and started walking? No. So he went walking and sat down in a posture like a yogi. So then mother and son has a conversation. So it looks like nowhere in Vaikuntha breastfeeding is there mentioned. It's possible, it's inconceivable, but I haven't heard. So because she is a Dhatri cannot be in Vaikuntha, has to be in Golok with Mother Yashoda's place.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
So third option, third question.
We have one more.
Yeah, voidism and impersonal Brahma Jyoti.
Okay, I'll end with that.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's getting late for all of you. And if somebody has to leave, please go. Don't feel pressure. I'm sorry. But this is a nice question because tomorrow is the last day. I have to finish the whole chapter and end with that. Question is there a difference? What is the difference between the beautiful, pure effulgence that emanating? Jadadvaita Brahma Panishadi Tadapasyatanubha Ja Atmantarjami Purusha Sahasangsha Vibhava Sarai Sharja Purna Bhagavan Ja Sayamayam Na Chaitannat Krishna Jagati Paratatta Paramiha Jadadvaita Brahma Panishadi. What is Brahman? Upanishad explains Jad Advaita, non-dual substance, means inseparable from God. They are not Dvaita, they are Advaita. You cannot have a light of a lamp and the lamp are separate. So attached to the lamp is better than light of the lamp. Because if you attach to the light, if the lamp taken to another room, you are in darkness. So that is the mistake of the impersonalist. Jad Advaitam Brahma Upanishadi Tadu Paishatanuva. Where this effulgence coming from? Padanaka Nirajita, was it? Shruti Mauli Ratnamala Duti Nirajita Pada Pankaja Anta. Rupa Goswami Pad writes, Pada Pankaja Anta, the toenail, tip of the toenail, where effulgence coming constantly from the Lord's body. This is what Brahma Jyoti. So to answer that question, we can look at in a different way. One is conceptually, another is historically in terms of their philosophy. So let's see. Conceptually, they are very similar. Both are similar. In that sense that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the example. Both involve negation. He said, you probably heard, Prabhupada mentioned that. If a child has cataract, because of which child has become blind, then one uncle may say, come pluck both eyes. Another may say, kill the child. Sounds very heavy. So plucking of the eyes is like rejecting form and personality and relationship and activities, because these are cause of bondage. That is what the impersonalists think in terms of conceiving absolute reality. Another uncle may come and say that, okay, why pluck? Kill the child. Whole problem will be removed. So that is like denying existence of itself. That is what voidism does. Look at it from that angle. Voidists have the idea that when desire becomes silent, you'll get nirvana. Buddhism goal is nirvana. Ban means like arrow. Nirvana means it doesn't come back. It stays fixed. That is like a candle getting extinguished. So every philosophy has a defining metaphor. For example, for Mayavadi metaphor might be a drop entering into ocean. You know, there is a joke. One sannyasi told me many years back. I even forgot who told me actually. I remember, I thought it was, anyway, he said there was a big salt mountain, a big hill of salt. So they asked the mountain, can you give us some clue how deep is the ocean? Can you go there and measure it? So the salt mountain went to the ocean and he never came back. and nobody knows what happened to him. This is what they think of merging. That you want to see the God, but then he merges into the water and he never knows his own existence is lost. This is their conception. That is often defining metaphor for Nirvana. So one is when we see there is an existence, impersonalists say there is an existence, but there is no form. What does that mean? There is no personality, there is no activity. And relationship, no qualities, no relationship. Whereas Buddhists say that there is no existence itself. You understand between these two? So that is the difference in terms of conception, but in terms of method, both are trying to work away from the misery of the material existence. Trying to find a cause, go beyond that cause. Just like both uncles ultimately they see that child is suffering. How do you deal with the suffering of the child? So they are coming up in different ways. Prabhupada says that as far as recognizing the material world is a place of misery and we need to go beyond it, there is no confrontation between the Buddhist, Mayavadis or Vaishnavas. In the beginning I mentioned that, you remember? There's no difference. We are all agree on that this world is a misery, is for us, is not our, we should get out. We all agree. There's no difference between Buddhists, Mayavadis or us or anyone. All three recognize that reality. But they have to go beyond this world. But then what is the cause of the problem? What is the solution? They have difference in terms of conception of the positive realities. So conceptually, both are going to same goal, but then individual understanding that they come up is different. Historically, the Buddhist philosophy came up with a lot of problems in terms of internal contradiction. And one of, I would not say teacher, is my friend, David. He lives in Canada, but he comes here. His girlfriend lives here. But we meet once a year and we talk. He is a teacher of Buddhism. And he respects also Krishna consciousness. And he started chanting a little bit. I don't pressure, but we exchange what the understanding. It has to come from their natural maturity of, you give them prasadam, you have a nice relationship, then eventually they will feel attraction. If you just accuse them, you remember one time I mentioned the biggest mistake we can do to anyone. If we ever accuse, their hearing perception from you blocked. They do not want to see you or hear. Prabhupada was genius about this. So we learned from Prabhupada how he carved everybody's things. He met the person first time. He said, oh, you are the one who is going to speak today. That time there was no ISKCON. They just brought a little hall room. One person has a show. They asked if they could allow this Swamiji to go and introduce himself. So Prabhupada had a Bhagavatam volume, and this person sitting next to him, he said, so there will be somebody speaking. He said, yeah, I'll be speaking. Oh, you're going to speak? He said, yes. And then they called his name. He said, can you watch my boxes of, these are the books that I'm going to promote. In the speech, he said, I have a friend sitting there. He is taking care of my books. Now, how did he made him friend? He just introduced himself for a minute. And he just addressed to the audience, I have a friend sitting there, he's taking care of the books. You can pay him money and take the books, this is this much. Now this man is thinking, wow, I became his friend and I am now taking money and giving the books. Like Prabhupada was genius, how to engage those people. Never judge them. It's so sweet. So we can see like this. There is a one philosopher, I think Nagarjuna or someone very famous. He basically posed two levels of reality. One is current reality that we experience, where there is a duality, where there is a personality, where there is activity. This is also real, but there is a higher level of reality. When one goes there, then it is like entering into non-existence, because other realms were very difficult for Buddhists to explain. And it's true. I personally asked few people. They have no idea. They say, what is important? All the mental system dissolved. Then nothing is important. But I said, I want to know where I am. I am very much interested what I am involved, where I'm heading. He said, why? This question will be resolved once you enter there. Nobody will ask. I said, no, that doesn't attract me. I am always seeing existing separately from everything. And I want to maintain that individuality. They cannot answer. There is another group also. I'm just giving you many purport. But anyway, I'm just going to end here because some friend of mine has to go. That in general, for a broad purpose of understanding, negation and positive revelation is enough to recognize the overall similarity between Shunyavad and Brahmavad. Main difference is that one is within Vedic context and other is not. You got it? One is in Vedic context and other is not in Vedic context. So externally speaking, one expects the reality of spiritual existence, but spiritual existence is stripped of any quality. And you think that will make existence seems like existence, whereas Buddhists, they basically deny existence. Krishna is so merciful, Krishna will never intervene in your free will. Try to understand this. If you want to merge and forget yourself, Krishna will cover you such a way that you will actually forget yourself. Not that you are lost, you're dead. You choose, you are praying for it, you're meditating while you are doing sadhana. Then Krishna will cover you there. It's very sad. Of course, some Buddhists go into more, I would say, sophistry, fallacious or wrong use of words. Like they say, actually attaining nirvana is attaining the existence beyond existence. And if you say, what is that? Can you explain? Why is it called non-existence? What? Existence beyond existence is non-existence? Yeah, that's called nirvana. I say, I'm not attracted. Seems like I'm not there anymore. He said, well, it's not important. I said, no, it's important that I exist eternally. Because Krishna says, I eternally exist. He exists. How can I? But some people are attracted to that. So Krishna guides them to go there. What is this means? Is they also do not know. It is just a word jugglery. But basically, it is a rejection. So bottom line, I land here that both philosophies have the commonly of rejection. That's all. But we should know a little bit of that. And naturally, devotees are never attracted to that. But there are few devotees, actually, American devotee, even Sasuru Maharaj, they are Buddhist monk practicing very heavy. And see how sincere devotee they are. So they all become devotee. When they become devotee, they flourish very quick because they have one realization, this world is not a place for me. So I'll end here. Thank you so much. Mother Dorothy.